And we are live. Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
So today we have a show for you, as Andrew would say, declining to mention if it will be good or bad. Of course, we have Blaine, Mad Economist, myself, and our surprise guest, Metal571. How you doing, man?
Now that I see the partial avatar you guys put on the thumbnail, I hope everybody got that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very... I almost
think
left
you're pretty
the
iconic.
Half-Life logo on your shirt there.
Yeah.
But I feel like that would have been too much. They would have known instantly.
But the K701, yeah, I went crazy with that thing early on, yeah.
I mean, it's
Do you
just
still
part of
have
your
it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it is now. I mean, I thought it was like the coolest looking piece of plastic I've ever seen, so it may not be the best build, but like, I mean, at least headphones were light back then because they weren't completely planar like all of them.
Well, and even the non-planers, like if you look at like the dynamic, the ZMFs, the focals and stuff, you know, it's like 450 grams, 500 grams for a dynamic headphone or more.
Oh yeah,
just
the
like
focals now, yeah.
everything is so thick.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting topic that I've thought about a lot. Is like everyone wants build quality, and like solid feel, but like you're adding so much weight a lot of the time to get to what people perceive, I guess, as that, but may not be.
And really, I think that it's completely a false economy because, like, if you look at stuff like the old magnesium Sony headphones, like the MDR-F1, terrible sounding headphone, to be clear, one of the absolute worst in history, and really not very comfortable either. But those were both because of choices that Sony knowingly made. But it was very well built and it was light as a feather. So it can be done.
I just know that as the Sandstorm headphone because
yes, Darude.
I like the way that one looks too, but yeah, I think I remember seeing the measurements that are like 0 bass.
0 bass, and the treble is limited to one horrifying doom spike. Honestly, I can't imagine how Sandstorm sounds on those headphones.
Oh,
well, wait, did it just appear in the video, or was it actually used?
Yeah, Darude is wearing them.
Yeah, it's actually wearing them in the video, but hopefully not listening to something.
I mean, they probably picked them because they're so distinctive looking. We've gone completely off topic. I just want to, before we get into it, just say, as always, we are brought to you by Headphones.com, your #1 place to learn about and buy audio equipment. Not just headphones, but also speakers, DACs, amps, cables, including our Listen More cables, which I really probably should be using, but I'm not. They're very nice. You should use them. We are, as always, dependent on them for their support, and they are dependent on you for support. So please consider them for both your next purchase and if you're doing research on any audio products. They include our channel, they include our forum, which is the headphone community, our Discord, which you can find linked in the description, and also, of course, the main site, headphones.com, which has a lot of guides as well as, you know, the place you buy things. We also have a thread where we pull topics from sometimes. We don't have them today because we have a special guest and nobody could be told about him because then they might mob us. But in general, if you want to suggest topics for the Noise Floor, go to the thread. It's linked in the channel, in the video description as well, and suggest topics for us to argue about.
Yes, and I don't know if we'll be doing too much arguing on this stream, but who knows? We might get into it. So I think without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the topics. So Metal hasn't been on the show for quite a while at this point. He and I have actually never shared a stream before.
Gotta be at least a year, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably around that. But you were always my favorite guest whenever you would come on. So glad to have you here.
Hey.
No, thanks.
I was also a guest.
Yes, I'm aware.
Rude.
But since you haven't been on for a while and you haven't, been a reviewer for a while, a lot of the topics of today's stream are going to be about you, your history, and kind of your place in the hobby currently. So if we can just go ahead and get right into it. My first question for you was, since you left the hobby, what pieces of gear have you ended up buying or using most since you, dipped out?
Yeah, thankfully, not too many. 'Cause I guess almost everything. I guess towards the end there were a lot of loaners, but I
Mm.
bought and sold a lot of stuff. Probably a lot more bought than sold because I have that problem, which is why I say I'm glad I haven't bought and sold too many things in total. But I actually would think it was like mainly IEMs because like the new one
Oh,
comes out every 5 microseconds. So like the Hexa was something I actually jumped on and I thought was really
oh,
interesting because everyone was pretty happy about that, and I do like the BA presentation of whatever detail is. So
oh,
it was
okay.
pretty good. Although, yeah, just slightly, definitely slightly hot for me up top, but like
Mm.
it's mostly pretty good. I actually like the mids on it better than the red because they're like a little bit more
Yeah.
recessed, I guess. But both of those are really good. The red, I'm I'm very careful with like explaining where I get the stuff. The red was from Critical directly.
Mm.
He let me have a review unit to keep there. But yeah, those two, the Hex I bought myself though by comparison. But yeah, those two are really impressive. But actually, the thing that I use the most, still out of less like laziness, is the Pixel Buds A series. It's just like $100 true
Oh.
wireless. That I was so surprised that what that sounded like. I guess maybe it came free with one of my Pixel phones or something, and I don't know. It's one of those pre-order deals, and yeah, I've been using that.
I think I've heard you talk about it a little bit, but I don't know if I've ever heard you actually like describe the sound or categorize the
Yeah,
sound.
it's surprisingly even-handed, except that there's a little bit of trouble like around like 5 or 6K. That's a little bit
Mm.
forward, but like it doesn't really bother me most of the time though. And it's really weird that there's really nothing that stands out about it that much. Although the default amount of bass is like stupid because I guess they're probably um, like catering to what they think the average audiophile wants. I don't know, but it is cool that in the phone you can adjust the amount of bass, but it's like it's a dumb slider. It's like goes from -1 0, then like +1 2 and 3, and doesn't have any more description than that. And that's what they decided to do about
So
bass.
they give you -1. That's the maximum amount of cut.
That's yeah, right, right. Which actually ends up kind of sounding like a relatively flat line. And there's obviously a lot of DSP going on. I think that's probably why I like it. So probably the default DSP is quite a bit. I haven't tried the new what is it, the Buds 2 Pro yet, but that cheapo A series one is like so surprising. So
Cool.
yeah, and plus it's really light. And actually it tries to, I know Blaine doesn't like IEMs that much because of like the occlusion effect, right? Like when you're
Mhm.
wearing them. Well, I think that the Pixel Buds have to be one of those ones that's like vented, like partially vented, so that you don't get a lot of that effect either, which is kind of interesting. Obviously,
Nice.
they don't isolate nearly as well, but yeah, and
Does
they're
it have
really
a
lightweight and
transparency
everything.
mode?
Um, I don't think they're advanced enough for that. They definitely don't have ANC either. So
Oh,
that's why
interesting.
they're like they're I mean, there was what was it? There was the original Pixel Buds, the in-ear ones, and then they kind of nerfed a couple things like they removed wireless charging or something, and that became the A series, but yeah, so
Got it.
I do like that there's really that bell curve IQ meme about what headphones people use as a function of how much money they've spent in the hobby. Like on the $0 end, it's true wireless Google, iPhone, whatever earbuds. In the middle, it's oh no, I have a custom IEM that cost me $2,000 and I have a special Bluetooth adapter. And
right.
then on the I've spent an ungodly amount and years on this, it's yeah, it's just like Apple Buds or Google Buds or Bose earphones or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, at a certain point it's like now I don't like the throwaway nature of the true wireless stuff, but man, if that form factor isn't just like the most convenient thing that's ever been invented. So,
I
It
really
is
love.
very hard to argue with. Yeah.
So these sound really, really mediocre at level best, but I still really love the Bose ear clip ones.
oh, really?
Mm.
Huh.
Yeah, the sound is worse than probably any IEM that you could recommend somebody. Like we're talking earbud tier, but zero occlusion, They're so comfy for me. Someone says mic dying. Is my mic dying?
Yeah, your mic
Yeah, yours was
did a
doing a
weird
choppy
thing,
thing
but
for a
it's good
second.
now.
Yeah, it's fine now.
You good? All good?
Yeah, it's okay now though. Not sure what that was.
Yeah.
It's like a cable came loose for a second or something. Or your USB bandwidth was exceeded. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's fine now.
I was speaking and I was thinking too big of thoughts is the thing.
It interfered. EMI.
Too big for the tubes in the internet.
But yeah, no, it's a really mediocre sound, but it's great ergo, and as that form factor improves from unlistenable to listenable, and someday with these, we'll get the whole nonlinear compliance thing, and they'll be able to actually do bass via whatever sorcery that is that they're working on, and then it'll just be like, I never need to have IEMs again, and I'll be happy.
Your goal is to eliminate IEMs.
Essentially, yes.
My goal, I used to say, and I guess I still say, is to eliminate subjective reviewing, which is such a boring, harsh engineering thing to think. But yeah, but that's kind of what makes the hobby interesting, is that it feels unsolved. And still, after this much time, even though like we've talked about this before, but like the progress in audio is like, it's so small, like especially speakers wise, it's so small. Like sound quality has been around, if you will, but to explain it is kind of like the fascinating question, and to figure out what people actually prefer, which I can't believe we didn't know for headphones what that was until, was it like the first Olive papers or the early 2010s or something? I guess it was Beats that made it interesting enough to look at.
And now we don't know again.
Yeah.
Because of Griffin and my project. Oh, so we've done everything we can to undermine that consensus.
Yeah, undermines may be a strong word, but we have unearthed some scrungles. I mean, mostly you have unearthed some scrungles, but
I mean,
yeah,
really,
even so. Oh, go ahead.
Well, in terms of actual work, it's Sean that has unearthed the scrungles. Like, I have been nattering at Sean, but he has done the actual work. I'm looking forward to that changing and me being able to actually be like, hey, Sean, guess who has a paper now? Please review it so it's not terrible. What? It's not like I'm going to be cocky with Sean Olive.
I don't know why you would. Yeah. It's just funny hearing you say that. But yeah.
No, but it...
Go ahead.
Oh no, it's just I really have wanted to carry forward Metal's goal of eliminating subjective reviewing. Like a lot of the well, I mean you are, but I don't, like, not even as a bit, right? Like I do have sort of a bit that I do. I have bits that I do for the show. But a lot of what I have been trying to do with data analysis, with trying to better understand the limitations of our current quantization of preference, is to the end of, I really want us to be able to say, this will sound better for this person. Not having to rely on just fucking reading the tea leaves from 5 subjective reviewers.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely dipped in the adjective sauce too far sometimes myself. Yeah. And there's only so far you can go with this stuff without being like, okay, well, what does that mean on X graph? Not just frequency response, but whatever metric, like to explain.
So actually that kind of touches on a topic I want to talk about later.
Yeah.
So put a pin in that.
All right.
So when it comes to, I guess, the things that you've been using most, you would say the Pixel Buds A, and I guess as far as over ears, it would be the ones you're wearing now.
Yeah. Obviously, the LCD2 is a lot. Somebody was asking in the chat what my current roster is. My regular rotation is these, which is a 2-phaser from 2018, I think, which I bought from Max Settings way back. And
wow, you have a Max Settings headphone too?
I have the actual Max Settings headphone.
Yeah. No, I have his the HD800 I use is his old one.
Oh, that was his old one. Yeah. So that's what this came from, and then I had them upgraded to the 2021 pads, which apparently there are multiple versions of. Not going to go down that rabbit hole today.
Oh God, really?
And so I have some version of 2021 pads on them, and then they've got the carbon fiber headband. So
Oh,
just to
nice.
reduce the weight, which it does reduce the weight, but it's only by like 20 grams. So you're spending a lot of money just to reduce the weight by 20 grams, but it's something.
Yeah, and I actually I preferred the spring steel just because you can like change the clamp a little bit just by bending it,
Yeah,
whereas
I
carbon
was just
fiber
gonna
is so
say that
brittle.
the clamp force definitely changes the sound, and the default clamp force on the carbon fiber is lower as well, which I actually like because big head problems, just
Oh,
like
for sure.
Andrew. Yeah,
Yeah,
it sounds very different when you do that, and also they say not to do that. I wonder if that warning is still in the box or something. I don't know. I've touched upon
for
that
the
before.
carbon fiber one specifically.
No, I mean just the fact that the pads put a lot of pressure on the
Oh, the whole.
diaphragm if you intentionally like slam them
Yeah, yeah,
against
yeah.
your ear. Yeah,
Got it.
so but anyway, yeah, it's these and then the DT770s, which are somewhere back there. I actually still use those for work calls quite a bit because mainly because of the velour, not necessarily the sound quality.
No,
Because I do EQ the shit out of the treble in that thing
I'm
now.
sure you do.
It's
Yeah,
like it's still too much, but it's like
but they're
barely
comfortable.
tolerable without EQ. But anyway, so that's what that's for. Although it is just generally a fun headphone with a really strong bass response without needing any correction there. But yeah, the treble needs to be tamed. Right, and the Pixel Buds A series is just like when I'm like lying around or doing a chore or whatever the hell around the house, and um, let's see, and at work, actual work, the office, because I work hybrid.
Hmm.
I have the SA6 still, which I think is
Oh,
still
Mark
running
One.
off of yeah, it's still running off of a FIO BTR5, which is now ancient, I think, but it's
Yeah, I mean, it was fine when it came out, and I don't see why it would be less fine now.
I'm actually using it as a USB DAC. I just realized, so I haven't even used it in wireless mode that much in a while, but it does support LDAC with that. So, but yeah, you can actually plug it in as USB and just use it over that too.
Cool.
So that's the main rotation there.
And then behind you, we have like an ESP and an 950 and an Auteur or something.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the Koss Astrop model, and then there's the ALS, which
The AOLS.
I bought from Zach a while ago with some reviewer discounts included.
Is that
Pretty
is that
cool.
headband okay? I
Oh
remember you
yeah,
on stream one time,
oh
like
that was funny.
crunching it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think what happened was it hit against some other headband, or that I was holding like two headphones or something at the same time. So they just clanked down to each other. No, it's fine. It was good in
Cool.
the end. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, I bought like all the pads I could for it too. That was hilarious. So like every perforated pad, at least that ZMF had at the time, which was really funny. But I think I still ended up back to like the universe leather or something. It's like just the most basic pad. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I know
actually
there was like kind of a consensus for that headphone that the universe, both suede
and
and
then a
leather,
lot of
ended up
people like
being
the
the
suede.
better one.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
right. So, but
Cool.
yeah, the ALSI and mine has the mesh, the front damping still on it. He
Oh.
actually removed it, or no, he poked holes in it, something like that. At a certain point, he started doing that, but that made the spike that it already had around like 5 or 6K even worse. And so I think
Mm,
that like Crin's measurement, last one I saw, that has the giant peak there. And I think that's
yeah.
largely responsible for that because when I first reviewed it, it had the original full front damping and it was a lot less of a
Mm,
problem there. Yeah, ZMFs to me have like some weird spikes to various degrees in the treble, but that one had the least of that problem. So that's why
got it.
I got it. And it's also cool to look at the what is it called, the chatoyance in the wood of that one. The I don't know how to pronounce
It's
it,
an
Sapele
SAT
or
word.
whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay. Cool. So I actually had another question about headphones because obviously you've been keeping up slightly with things like IEMs per what you said. But
yeah,
I was
still
wondering,
watching guys and yeah.
are there any like big releases that you know about but you feel like you missed out on hearing?
Yeah, I'm like kind of developing a list because I'm hoping I can go to the New York show next
Yeah, if you
year
have the list, I'd love to
finally.
hear it.
But I mean, my obsession with some stacks is somewhat well known after hearing like the 007. And I think Andrew and I were both just like, wow, this is pretty awesome. But the whole, like, it's hard to own one of those because of all the stuff that comes along with it. But that one I already heard. But that's why like the X9000 is on my list. But I'm sure you guys have already tried that quite a bit. But
I actually haven't, and I want to.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
the Omega shaped ish kind of stacks is so that's probably the top of my list. I'm sure there's like 42 IEMs that I need to figure out what that list should be so that I can try them all. Obviously the audio stuff, which keeps getting hyped over and over again, and the measurements look like really, really bang on, because I tend to like the Crin response, and that's sort of his thing. What is it? Actually, it's not even his anymore. It's the JM1 thing that you guys have been,
yeah, it's like in that kind of what people
category,
call the new meta type of mid-range response. Yeah,
I did read that article, which was interesting. / video. Oh yeah, he put a full video out on that. That was really interesting.
Joel did. Yeah,
Joel
did, great video.
Joel is in chat. He is minimum phase in chat, or at least he was.
I'm happy with that. So anything that's
any over-ear headphones that you haven't got to hear? Like I figure since you haven't been to the last few Can Jams, you probably haven't heard like any of the new Audeze stuff or the
Grell
stuff.
Oh yeah, well I guess the Grell to form the correct opinion about it, whatever that ends up being. Because I have seen those measurements already, which is very entertaining. I feel like, is that more polarizing than the HD820, or is it just like, no, let's not do that?
I think it's less polarizing.
Okay.
Well, when the HD820 came out, it was just a colossal flop, and the Grell was a pretty big flop. But at least there were people like us saying, but it was an interesting idea.
It was an interesting experiment,
which nobody said about the HD820. They just said, why?
So, what is this? Glass. Okay.
Glass. Interesting idea.
Gorilla Glass.
Yeah.
True.
So it's funny. My answer to that question is more like, at this point, you guys probably know better than me what I need to try. I'm just gonna end up like getting the list from one of you or Andrew, because you guys know what my preference kind of is by now.
Yeah.
So
I'm interested to know what you think of the Omega, actually.
The new X9000 thing. Yeah.
No, DMS's Omega.
Oh, DMS's.
Yeah, he also, ill-advisedly, he took the name Omega as well.
Oh man, I can see. Well, okay, that definitely confused me for a second.
It was the name of a Mega Man boss.
Okay.
It's also the name of a Greek character.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to try those. So hopefully, I assume whenever the Headphones show as a team goes to a show with a booth, you guys bring all the in-house things as well.
Generally, yeah.
I mean, not that there are many of them. It's basically just Omega and Mirai, but they're always there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know you like Blaine and Andrew were playing with something for forever. I don't know if you guys ever actually finished it. In fact, I think Andrew even showed it or talked about it in one of the videos and like the development process, which was really cool. But
yeah, we still get people asking about that all the time. Actually, it just kind of didn't. It just didn't continue.
I mean, I would describe that project as being parked. Much like Andrew.
That's a good pun.
Oh no.
People in chat are asking why Andrew isn't on. As aforementioned at the end of the last stream, I did go and hunt Andrew for sport over the weekend, and though I did not successfully hunt him and take his skin, he was injured, so he will be in next week.
Okay.
So for anyone who's actually wondering the answer to that question, he's not feeling well. And Blaine does not hunt people for sport, or at least it has not been proven conclusively.
Yeah, nobody has ever proven that I've done that.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even bat an eye when you mentioned that, Blaine. I was just like,
well, yes, you've known Blaine for a while, and you know his humor. But yeah, I feel like part of the reason I really want you to come to a show is because I know there's a lot of stuff you've missed out on specifically, and I want to get your takes on like so many headphones. Like I want to see you listen to the new Focal headphones. Because your take on the Alex, both of them, was one of the more reasonable takes on that headphone, I think.
I did not understand the hype behind that thing. It just didn't feel like it measured up to what I expected. Whereas the clear, for some reason, to me was actually pretty good. And that's a really weird opinion to have such a difference between those two models. But I don't know. That's what I heard. But it is great. Like I still remember the last the last one I went to was like February 2020, right before everything closed. I probably
Yeah,
shouldn't have even
yeah.
gone to that. It was weird. But it's always good walking around, like Andrew and I walking around trying things back to back and comparing notes is always like really good. And yeah, there's some footage of that anyway from that show on the channel even. So yeah, no, that's what I plan to do. I mean, that's the whole point. Like, actually, I at a certain point, I realized like everyone is like, oh, I need to buy all this stuff. I need to try everything. But you can try everything without buying everything if you just go to a show. So actually, like, that's the itch of the hobby that for me. And like when I scratch the itch by going to a show, I'm like, I'm good. Like, I don't actually need to own like an HE1 or something like that. I just need to have experience that. It's more about the experiences than owning stuff. Just need stuff.
I
You've
would
heard the
buy an
HE1 before, right?
HE1 if it was cheap enough.
I don't even think I've actually heard it at this point. I didn't get a chance at any of the shows that I've been to yet. But
It
still,
is worth hearing. I would like to know your opinion on it.
I have heard the Shangri-La, which was really up there, but very lean sounding. Otherwise, bizarre kind of
That
tilt
tracks.
to the response. But it
I
was,
wouldn't call the AG1 lean, so you might enjoy that. It does
yeah,
have somewhat HD800-ish treble, though, which is one of the things that splits people on it.
that's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah,
necessarily.
kind of. I would say, I don't know. I'm still surprised by how little issue I had with the treble of that headphone. It's very against what I expected for it. But yeah, I want to hear your opinion of the new Focal headphones. I don't know what of the new Audeze headphones you've heard. I think you might have tried the Maxwell.
I was, I think I was trying to get one for a while, but that never materialized. Like just a loaner. I'm sure that it looks like they like slightly tuned the Mobius, but obviously there's way more features and whatever going on now. I especially want to try the new Focal closebacks because the what's the old
The
one?
Azuris or the Batiste or Batiste?
I guess I got to try all of them because I haven't even like looked into them that much. But
So the oldest
There's
one,
a passive one and an active one.
oh, okay.
When you say the old one, do you mean like the ones that were around the Utopias time or the ones before that?
Good question.
Yeah, I can't remember which one I tried. It was
Because they had
definitely
like the focal spirits and stuff, which had those weird square hinges.
Yeah, no, not those. The modern looking ones, but the oldest one.
Elegia?
Yeah, that's the one. That was really not impressive to me.
No, I hated that.
I think that is a fairly uncontroversial take that is not a very good headphone.
So, I'm really interested to see what they did with it since then, because the
I would say they have significantly improved.
Yeah. What was the high end one? Are they still selling? Oh, the Stellia. Are they still selling that thing?
Yeah, the Stellia, and then I think the best one is the Celestia.
Okay.
You think the best one is the Celestia, or like you think that's?
I believe that the consensus answer is that the Celestia is the best one.
Okay.
My answer is that I hate all of them.
That is the one that they discontinued.
Well, is that the one that was the Bentley one?
No, that's the Radiance.
Oh, the Radiance, of course.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, all good. The Celestia is my favorite.
The Radiance. The Radiance is the one that people say sounds the best. I've heard it. It sounded okay.
I'm not a fan personally. It's quite a bit too V-shaped for me. But I really like the Azuris actually, which I wasn't really expecting.
It's too small for my elephant ears.
Yeah, I mean, all of their headphones are too small for my ears. But sonically, it was very reasonable. It was just a nice, warm kind of sound. A little bit of heat in the upper mids, but very reasonable. But yeah, I think Metal would be into it.
I gotta try all of those. Yeah, because
you should also try Cameron's headphone, his version of the Aperio. Everyone seemed to like it quite a lot.
Somebody's mentioning that in here in the chat too. Yep. So I have a lot of stuff to go through. Hopefully, that's why you can't even like people go and they're like, oh, what day will be more than enough, and then it's never enough. And even by
No.
like the end of the second day, I feel like I might have missed something.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
it's
especially when you're
crazy.
like a personality like you, or you have a bunch of friends that,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's more to going to Can Jam than just walking the show floor. But
for sure.
I don't get bugged that much. I mean, like fans will sometimes come up to me and talk for like a couple minutes, but like it's not that bad. In fact, I mean, I can't talk for more than a couple minutes because there's just too many rooms that I have to try anyway to
Yeah.
get to. So it's actually not that bad. But yeah, being known, it's harder. It's a lot harder when you have a booth, I guess. Which that's
Yes.
well, you guys get to listen to everything anyway, I guess, over time. It's not all at the shows themselves. Yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, not much time at the actual shows, but
Right.
enough to where, like, if there's something we really wanna hear, we can totally make time for it.
Yeah.
Um,
The one advantage of being on the booth team is that you can stay behind on Saturday, where usually all
yes.
like there's people at the booths after the commoners are shown out,
Mm.
and then is usually when people who are in the trade listen to stuff. In my
Okay.
experience,
Well,
Yeah.
that's good. They give you an opportunity there.
Yeah, totally. Trying to think if there's any other. You haven't gotten to hear any of Odyssey's like small cup designs, right? Like you didn't hear LCD5.
No,
Or,
I did I oh yeah, I guess I was done with reviewing at that time. But no, I actually had a loaner of LCD5 and it was just all
uh,
shout. Like they overcorrected very far in the other direction, I think. Um,
that's a good way to put it.
which
Yes, I would
I
say
was
that's exactly
surprised
what
by
happened.
because even looking at the graph, I didn't think it was gonna be that much. I mean, like after I got my EQ down to like -6 on the mids, I'm like, okay, I don't think I could even buy this thing because
Damn.
why would there be that much? Like it's too bad because I mean, otherwise, technically, it's fine. I don't know. I still think the LCD4 wowed me, but the problem with the LCD4 is that you got to have the original pads, which you can't get. So it's got to be a model that was made in like 2015 or 2016.
Yeah, you got to
Uh,
convince Flux to sell his,
I
basically.
know he's oh man. So that there's a huge asterisk next to my LCD4 review, which is this is what a good one
Yeah,
sounds like when I
yeah. No,
review it.
his unit is goaded. Like
His
it's still
unit
the
is
best one I've
amazing.
heard.
That's like the
Yeah.
LCD4 that I know, and it's not the only one because when they had ones at the earlier Can Jam years before the memory foam pads. I heard some of the originals. There are a lot of them like that. Like, they exist in the wild, as far as I know. So it's not just
Um,
that one. So I think the pads must have something to do with it. Yeah,
I would
someone's
assume.
mentioning Tacony makes replacements now. Yeah, I am actually interested to see how the newest Daconis stack up now versus because they're filling the suede void now, I think too.
yes.
They've
Yeah, I
got
think
a
they've been
option
working
for
with
that.
DMS
Oh,
to try
DMS,
and
yeah,
fill
that's the
that
video
hole.
I saw. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something else I got to try. It's not even a headphone anymore. Now it's pads I got to add to my list. It's too many. And then
Yeah, I
At
mean,
definitely
this
the
point,
two.
I do think you might prefer the MM500 to the LCD5. It is a little bit
Yeah.
more generous in terms of
Yeah, I
its
haven't heard that. And then
mid-range
what's
tilt being
the
a little.
MM100 as well? Or is something I got to try.
I
But the
think
only
you'll have a similar issue with that one that you
yeah,
had with
okay. I heard
LCD5.
one of those two is aggressive still, just like the 5. Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
MM100.
Yeah. So yeah, the only other thing I'm actually looking for, maybe this was a question or is a coming question, but the only thing I've thought about buying that's like high end is maybe I'll move to the LCDX. Someone just mentioned it, so that made me think about that.
Oh,
Like, like maybe like when I had it, I had one in side by side with the LCD2, and I'm like, this is different enough, especially the way the soundstage is presented, and
mm,
the trebles kind of perceived resolution is presented as a
yeah,
pretty noticeable step from the LCD2s, and I can tolerate it with EQ again. Equalizing the big LCDs is so easy. I mean, not the newest ones, but for me, because I'm just so used to exactly the way that curve is, and there's
yeah,
specific spots I
where the
adjust.
peaks are and where the
So
base
it's
shelf
like,
needs to be is
yeah,
very easy. Yeah.
yeah, I use exactly the same profile, and I just move the dB up or down. I
Yeah.
don't need to adjust the frequency filters pretty much at
Yeah.
all. So, yeah, that's, like, the only thing that I'm actually possibly looking to buy going forward. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll come out with something using the newer chassis that doesn't have crazy LCD 5 mids. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we can only hope, right? But there's also kind of how were the ergonomics of the LCD 5 for you?
Oh, I think they were. I think they were really good. I mean, obviously the weight reduction was good too, but I think it fit
Oh,
fine.
oh, okay.
Didn't Andrew have a problem with the? Oh yeah, a lot of people had a
Clamp.
problem with what the rods, like they weren't. There wasn't enough adjustment or something. I thought I
Oh
remember.
yeah. So wait, was it the rods? No, I
Yeah,
actually think that was
what
the
was it?
older LCDs where people needed extra length. Andrew's
Oh,
Oh
problem was
yeah,
with
the
the
rod
clamp.
extensions.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
The
okay.
LCD 5 that I tried was a clampy boy.
Yeah,
Oh
no, it
yeah.
is they are all
Okay.
very clampy.
Yeah, I guess I'm used to wearing something relatively heavy anyway, so it's just
Yeah,
like
sure, sure.
it's just the way it is. But yeah, that's like it's like the first time you put on an HD 6X0 right out of the box. Holy, it's so weird compared to someone
Yeah,
who's
I
owned it
would
for a
say
while.
actually the LCD 5 is actually probably more obtrusive in terms of its clamp for me personally, just because of where it clamps.
Oh yeah,
And the
yeah,
material of the pads, like they have like a kind of triangular cross section to the lip of the pad that makes contact with your face.
yeah.
So it
Oh yeah,
clamps
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot and in a very like pointy area.
Oh right, I
Um,
know what you mean. It has that weird sort of bowl edge thing.
Yeah, it's got like a bowl shape.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that now. It's been a while since I heard
yeah.
that. The carbon too, someone just mentioned. I definitely want to try that, but I thought
I
I
still
heard
haven't heard
that
that one actually. I didn't listen to that at the show.
I heard is maybe it's better, but not better
I think they
enough.
just
I don't
added
know.
bass. I'm not sure
Yeah,
anything else has really changed.
yeah, I
Which
don't
it
know.
did need bass. Like it was kind of like the LCD 5 and that it was a little bit dry and shouty and
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I don't even think I heard the original one. I don't think I was at a show for that. So yeah, it's just so many things. But someone at least is able to confirm that someone has an OG LCD4 in the chat here. And
Oh.
yeah, he says it's incredible. So yeah. Okay, it's not just Flux's unit, fortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard other good units.
Yeah.
Humble, who's in our Discord and a friend of mine, has a good unit as well, but I've heard other bad units.
Oh
So
man. Yeah. Especially the ones with the 2018 memory foam pads. They really messed things up. There's so much air, and then the mids are even more cut
yeah, it's
than they
that
should be,
distance
even
between like
further.
the
Yeah,
mid
yeah.
range and upper treble is just
Yeah, I think
yeah,
even in the
ridiculous.
measurements, all the ones with that specific pad has like a null somewhere in the graphs too. There's something weird was going on, something being canceled.
Yeah, it
Anyway,
is weird. Do you feel like the bass response on because you changed from the memory foam pads to
yeah.
the I guess new revision pads on your LCD2? Did you feel like the bass suffered when you did that?
Um, I don't think it actually suffered. I mean, it's not the slammiest headphone in the world anyway, so I don't know if I noticed that much of a difference there. In fact, the difference between the pads now, I didn't change them myself. I actually sent them in to have them changed.
Oh.
So it was a while between hearing the two, but when I got it back, I was like, this isn't as different as I thought it would be coming from the other pads. So it feels like they definitely
Oh.
didn't go all the way back to how the original pads sounded.
Hmm.
Because I remember hearing like a 2.2, maybe even before that with its original pads, and those were like actually warm. I was like, wow, there's
Mm,
like no. I mean, it also probably was a pre-phaser, so those tended to be warmer to begin with. But I was like, wow, yeah. So the overall tilt has kind of changed a bit for the treble
mm.
presentation, I think, in the LCDs. But I haven't been there since the beginning of
Sure.
the original LCD2. So anyway, lots of
Yeah.
Odyssey.
Someone in
Yeah.
chat
Anything
asking if
else?
you're going to try the headphone 2.
Yeah,
Not
Oh.
the head phone.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I tried the original one and I thought it was pretty competent. That's what I kind of remember thinking. But yeah, the fit is definitely was not right. I'm sure they fixed the physical design by now. Yeah,
Just want
exactly.
No,
to
no, they haven't.
Oh, are you serious?
No,
Okay,
the
so
headphone 2,
no, they
it's
they made it
better. It's
it's better.
Okay, okay.
well, okay, it's better, but and I will not stop giving this anecdote. when Sean Olive was handed the Headphone 2 for the first time, he spent a minute trying to figure out how to adjust it and then looked at me and said, "This is awful." Which is the only time he has ever said that about a headphone to me.
Yeah, he's usually quite reserved, actually, with giving impressions. With that.
To be fair, that wasn't about the sound. That was just because they have this weird, like, hook and loop system for how you adjust the headband height. It really is actually quite awful. Head is aware that we are that we do not like that. And Head has listened to our complaints and says they're going to improve it.
Okay. I feel like I remember before the original headphone was released, there was already a clamor over that, and they might have even done a revision before they actually went to market. But I can't remember. It was a while ago.
The original one had like an inch of adjustment range, and they made it longer, which was good.
Yeah. Okay.
But Head is a good example of a company with some very smart engineers. I love Dimitri learning to make a headphone.
Yeah, like the drivers sounded really capable. So like I have no doubt that the actual audio engineers and whatever you call that, whatever oratory does,
acoustics
behind it. Yeah,
acoustics or electroacoustics, depending on your POV.
Yeah. So, but then something is going on with the human factor of the fits.
It's, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to share this anyway. I don't know if I'm actually allowed to share this, but they did tell us at SoCal that they are going to make it better. Like that they're working on a new chassis that is going to be better. So
I think it's worth it for the audience
confident
to be aware that they will be able to buy it and wear it.
You can wear the problem with the Head 2, and I do think this is actually one where Head should really have thought through. I think it's not fine. I think it's okay if you're at home because you won't need to adjust it very much, but it's horrible for shows because it legitimately takes 5 to 10 times longer than any other headphone to adjust the height. So for shows, it's just an unending nightmare for people to try it out, and it sours everyone's first impression on it, which is a shame because almost everyone said that the Headphone 2 GT sounded great.
Yeah, the GT being a retune of the Headphone 2, which, I mean, you haven't heard either, so it's not a huge thing.
It's optimized for grand touring, so it's only meant to be used, in the south of Italy, mostly.
Well, Resolve is in the chat, after all.
Oh, he is?
I told you I didn't kill him.
He still blames you.
Which is fair, I think. It's generally a safe bet. But yeah, I can't think of any other like current releases that I feel like metal really needs to get ears on. Like,
I want to know what he thinks about all the high-end DCAs.
Oh yeah, I totally missed all those. What is the E2, whatever in the world?
E3.
E3.
And the Expanse and the Stealth. I would love to see your impressions of all of those.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is actually that's a good point, because that's one where impressions tend to kind of vary.
Yeah, usually you don't want to be in the Dan Clark audio area when you give the impressions. They want to listen, and then you exit, and then you.
To be fair,
I usually withhold like anything negative I say. I usually leave the booth anyway before I say it to somebody right next to the manufacturer person. So it's not that unique.
To be fair, there have been plenty of people who have really enjoyed those headphones, right? Like, I would say that anecdotally, I think it's a minority, at least out of the people who've put them on at shows and who have given me impressions of them. But I think it's a large minority. But so you might well have a great experience of them, is what I'm saying. Like, those are headphones that for some people, like Constantine liked the Stealth. Scott Pledger, he liked the E3 a lot. Douglas also liked the E3 a lot.
Yeah,
so it's just sort of varied.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard the Aeon 2, which is old now, and like technically it sounded pretty good in like the res, but I mean it's the same bass speed problem, slamminess thing that they all have. So maybe that got better. I don't know, but like it seems like
you found it to lack slam, odds are that you will find them all to lack slam. Is my advice.
If it's kind of inherent in the plainer design that he's using or something, then
It's
In
not
my
the
opinion, it's
planar.
more so his tuning philosophy that kind
Oh,
of.
really? Actually, oh,
Acoustic
okay.
Z.
Oh, well, okay. I love that.
Okay, so I mean,
James
look, I think
calls
it's
it
probably
air
both,
load or
Blaine.
whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's
No,
probably
go ahead.
both, Blaine. That it's like, yeah, whatever that is like causing a difference in impressions. But I also think, yeah, his designs tend to have a pretty generous amount of mid bass, which I actually think has the inverse effect of that attributed
Yeah,
quality of slam for a lot of people.
it
I
does
thought that you
kind
said
of.
that Slam was stored in the 2K or whatever. 3K?
Me,
Yeah,
slam is everywhere.
I see. Fair enough.
Slam is literally everywhere. Okay,
Yeah.
wrong use of literally. But yeah, no, I agree. I think I now that I remember that his bass shelves do kind of extend a little bit too much into the mid bassy region. I do remember that. That's still
Yeah, and they're generous in their amount too. Like they're generally
yeah,
like, well, maybe not generous per like what Harmon says would be the norm or the
right.
expectation of neutral. But yeah, in my opinion, they just have a little bit too much bass for the rest of their response.
Yeah, Fio FT1. Yeah, everyone is talking about that one as well. I don't know if that actually shows up at the shows. Maybe it will.
Probably
Theo was
not.
at the last Can Jam, I think.
Oh,
Oh
really?
shit, were they? If I'd known
At
that, I'd have
SoCal?
listened to the FT1.
I'm pretty
Yeah, I
sure.
didn't see their
Yeah.
booth.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah, I feel like
I
there
spent
were a
time
lot of like
listening to
more
Skedra's
consumery
headphone, but
brands that
not
were
the
there this year.
Fio.
Wait, one more
I mean,
time?
no offense. I spent time to listen. I was angry that I spent time listening to Skedra's headphone and not the Fio. I mean, no offense to Sebastian Kedra, but
That is not a headphone for Blaine.
no, it is not.
Yeah.
So for out of the loop, Skedra, aka Sebastian Kendra, is a cable maker from Poland. He has Viking weave cables, and he made a headphone that was designed to be the bassiest thing physically possible. And it's the bassiest thing that I've ever heard.
Oh no.
It was not for me. It did have more than the Eris, though, and the Eris also had much too much.
I was gonna say, I'm really
The
excited to hear
treble.
the Eris as well. It's actually
So
on
no,
my list for entertainment purposes.
there's one specific Eris you need to hear as well. Hold on, I'll post
No,
a
is it
picture to the group
specific
chat if
one?
I can find
Okay,
it.
yes, you
Yeah, no,
cannot. We're
there's.
not putting that on the stream.
Well, no, I wasn't planning to put that. Well, I mean, I don't think we can put that on the stream.
Oh,
Correct.
But
We cannot put that on the stream.
so Zeos has a custom Eris.
oh,
I've
I
posted.
saw this picture. Yeah. Oh my god.
That's the one
And
I
it
heard.
is
well.
emblazoned with
That one's tuned better. That's assuming the
iconography.
laboratory is reacting to it.
Well, it has the secret sauce, quite literally.
Okay. Jesus Christ. Anyway, is there anything else? What about IEMs? I guess metal has to hear the Mega 5 EST, right?
Yeah, someone
That's
just said that earlier when we started talking about it, right? And then the audio, whatever Monarch is out, I guess, whatever mark they're up to.
yeah. I don't see much people or many people still talking about that lineup. Actually,
Going
it's
through
been kind
Monarchs
of
like the
the
French
Audio's
here.
cheaper stuff.
Oh,
Wait, what'd you
okay,
say? Blaine?
okay.
I said they're going through Monarchs like the French here.
Okay, that's a good one. I like that one. Yeah. By the way, Metal, have you ever heard the AirPods Pro 2?
I have heard the original. Was very happy with that response. I haven't heard the 2 yet. It looked like they changed the tuning a bit though, so I still have to
Yes,
try that.
from what I know of your taste, I really, really think you would like the AirPods Pro
Okay.
2.
And
It is
you know that I don't like
generous in the
the Mac.
bass, warm in the mids, not
Okay.
crazy in the treble. It's nice.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, it's kind of a testament to the AirPods Pro tuning that like I'm like so anyone who knows me knows I'm like so against owning Apple products whenever possible. But when it comes to that product, I will like forever say if you have an iPhone, just get the AirPods Pro. Like they're actually good, genuinely sounding good, even to audio files. So They definitely did a good job.
Damn right.
Unlike the over-ear headphone. That one's a lot more polarizing. I haven't heard
the
the
Max.
next one, but I doubt they changed the sound.
They didn't. Yeah, no.
Yeah, okay.
That'll be a future thing, probably. I'm excited for that when it comes out, but yeah, I think most of us in this sphere agree that it is lacking.
I got a hot take.
Not right.
Sure. Is it a hot take we've discussed on the show before?
Probably. I don't know. I don't remember. If we have, it's been a while. I was just gonna say that they're gonna make a good over-ear once they make a consumer, like a $1,000 VR headset, because then it's gonna be really high priority to have a good over-ear headphone, probably.
Wouldn't it be harder with the VR headset also?
Yeah, it will be harder, but I think that right now they don't really give a shit because nobody buys over-ear headphones compared to the people who buy AirPods.
Yeah. But
for a lot of people, if they're going to be doing the whole, wearable computing or whatever thing, over-ear is going to be a format that's going to sync up with that a lot better for all the weird AR stuff that Apple wants to do.
Right, they're supposed to be coming out with that like non-pro version of the
I don't know. I feel like the ergonomics of having a VR headset on and a headphone on at the same time would be a lot to ask of a person, which, I mean, it makes sense why the AirPods are like what works with the Apple Vision Pro, because they're a lot easier to negotiate when you have a VR headset band like right above the ear.
Well, I guess we'll find out. It was what made, the reason partially I'm saying that is that it's what made Valve make the only good audio product that a gamer company has ever made.
Now I'm wondering if that claim is true, because I actually don't think it is true.
Okay, what's another good audio product from a gamer company?
So I've not heard it. I've only seen the measurements. But the Astro A50X looks
now hold on
very
just a
reasonable.
Does that still count as a gamer company? Doesn't Logitech own them now? Yeah.
I would count Logitech as a gamer company.
What? No, Logitech is an office equipment company.
Okay, but they also have huge holdings in the gaming sphere.
This Logitech G thing is a lot of products, like every.
Yeah, I guess.
It has like every category of product. They have like 4 different wheels or something too for sim racing, and it's ridiculous.
Someone in chat says HyperX has a good headphone. I don't agree with that take. Maybe I'm just old. Logitech used to just be the ergonomic keyboard company. It made the Wave keyboard and like the.
Oh, that was like 15 years ago.
Well, listen, man.
Yeah.
I actually, some people know I used to review mice. I have the Pro Superlight right now. But what I'm actually
Blaine's unholy looking dinosaur head ergonomic mice.
Well, I have one of those too. So yeah, okay. The MX Vertical is what I use for actual work.
Vertical mice chads rise up.
But if I'm playing an FPS, I gotta have the like 60-gram thing.
Hey man, I got top 100 globally in PUBG with this.
Now do it on Bluetooth.
I did.
Oh, I was on. Dude, there's something wrong. That's impressive. Actually, just like, oh man, this is so off topic, but that just reminds me of playing on Xbox controllers. Like for the first time, I'd always played FPS on PC, 100%. I grew up that way with playing any game on PC. And then the first time I used the 360 controller, I was like, when I move the stick, I have to like wait in my head before something happens on the screen. Like, this is not right. How does anyone? Then I see people playing like tournaments using these controllers, and I'm like, what is happening? So like in the same way, I guess you can sort of adjust to a Bluetooth ergonomic mouse in some ways. That's just wacky.
I mean, it clearly not the best way to play. I really, and this is the most cap take I have. Oh God, no. Have you seen that game ball thing? Someone actually made a gamer trackball.
Oh,
Trackball,
yeah.
I
sorry.
was gonna say the
Yeah,
game
trackball.
sphere.
No, it's it's so bad. No, but no, it is actually a mouse. I've considered buying it, but then I was just like, why would I do that to myself? There's only so much morbid fascination that even I can muster.
I knew someone who played all CSS. That's how long ago that was, with a trackball, and I was like, what? But
It's
I love my trackball. Like I don't use it as
Okay.
much as I probably should, but I bought it for music production because it has like a knob around the ball that can be
Oh, yeah.
programmed to do
Yeah.
whatever you want in certain plugins, which was really useful when I was using it.
I mean,
yeah,
no,
no.
I like trackballs are great.
good. Yeah.
They can be really good ergo. People should alternate between normal mice and trackballs. Comma. Gaming, not maybe their normal case.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, probably not.
Someone in chat knows what I'm talking about and says he wants a game ball thumb. Why? Why do you want the game ball thumb? Why do you want that? All right, so you said it's the Astro A60 is the thing that's good?
A50X.
Oh, A50X.
Yes, and I am basing this on Gadgetry Tech, friend of the channel, his measurement
Yeah.
and reviews of
I know
it.
it's pretty good. Yeah, I forgot that Astro. Yeah, see, Logitech's a gamer company because they bought everybody else else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
they're
they,
like brands now. Yeah, so that's why they're also so big. One of the reasons.
I'm just gonna corroborate my my finding here real quick. I just want to show the chat, or actually no, chat can just go to Gadgetry Tech squiglink, gadgetrytech.squiglink/headsets and look it up.
Gadgetrytech.squidink.com.
I have eaten pasta with that man, but it was not squid ink pasta.
The appeal there was never clear to me.
I think it's just the color. It's like a food trend, right? It's like
yeah, but the texture's weird.
Oh, I don't think I've ever actually eaten it, so I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think
someone in
probably
chat's
move on to
talking
the
about
next.
the cloud alphas. The cloud alphas, I'm sorry to say, are not good.
Aren't all those HyperX? Are they still based on the Tagstar thing?
Yeah.
I remember reviewing an actual Tagstar. What was that? The Pro 80? That's what it used to be based
Pro 80.
on.
Yeah.
And then there was they came out with one with adjustable base port, kind of like a custom one, like a biodynamic. Yeah.
I think
So
that was the Pro 82.
Yeah, I think that might have been the 82. So I'm guessing that's what they're based on now. I think I saw that on at least one of the HyperX clouds. I mean, compared to classic gaming headsets, that's pretty good. Because man, the world of those products I grew up in with in like the mid 2000s, holy, those were bad. I remember
I don't know if gaming, if reviewers like Gadgetry Tech are anything to go by, and thank God for him actually like measuring a lot of the stuff that he gets in, because you get to kind of see how things are trending.
Right.
It does look like they're getting a lot better.
It does seem that way. Even Logitech branded ones, I think. Ratings has measured quite a few of them, and not all of them, but some of them are surprisingly decent looking. So that's good. Getting competitive. But man, Maxwell, I'm sure, sounds like really awesome for being a quote unquote gaming product.
Well, no, the Maxwell just sounds good for being a product.
It's just a good headphone.
It's just funny that it's like kind of branded that way. When I had the Mobius, when it was, well, it was still working. It's just the headband cracks because all of them do over the couple of years of use. But that thing was just, especially on Bluetooth, that was really something. The fact that they put LDAC in that thing, it was really good sounding Bluetooth headphones, like what in the world. That's probably, I would take that over the AirPods Max if I didn't need ANC. And there was a little bit of hiss from the amp. Hopefully they corrected that in the Maxwell as well, probably.
Yeah, I didn't get any hiss.
We got better by now. I think it's just a limitation of the sock that was available. I think the Mobius is based around it must have been a relatively brand new sock at the time that could do all of those things in one chip. And so those have only gotten better since then. Yeah.
Yep. I think we can
Sadly,
move on to the
unlike
next topic.
Morbius, not a successful release overall.
Anyway, so the next question I had for Metal is,
Oh yeah.
you've been out of the game for a while now, and I don't know if the answer to this is even in the affirmative or not. But with the benefit of hindsight, is there any like thing you would have changed about your review style, or just kind of anything you would have done differently with your reviews?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Honestly, I mean, I want it to be. I wish I had like a team or something. That was one of the biggest things. Like if I had was able to employ like an actual editor and somebody to moderate live streams because I used to stream myself as well,
Mm,
um, and have guests on my channel. Like if I had a team, that would be better. But actually, the review format, probably not. I mean, the overall format, no. I would like to show graphs like you guys do really well and highlight regions and whatever, of course, because it most of it was just like I really hated editing, and then I had a lot of like wrist issues around that time, so I really couldn't edit. So it made only that much more sense to just not. But I guess I would have to set up. Yeah, I think there's probably a way for me to easily set up on OBS because I pretty much recorded them all with OBS. A way to
mm,
overlay a graph like for a while and highlight certain sections. I could just bring up an image, a couple images. So if I kept it exactly the same recording format, I could still have done that. So that not that much because I mean my whole style was based on, of course, tiles overall like style originally, and that's kind of where we were all influenced by, and then we just get more and more technical until nobody wants to join the stream anymore. No, I'm kidding, but
well, no, so it's interesting to hear, obviously all of the kind of logistical stuff around that. I
I
very
tried,
much
I tried to minimize it.
enjoyed.
Yeah,
Wait,
so
what?
I tried to minimize the amount of logistics. That was like the
Yeah,
purpose of
but
it.
I kind of appreciated that. I liked that it was like kind of the vibe of just sitting, hearing a friend describe a headphone. Like it wasn't uh
Yeah, it's so funny
kind of like
because
a
it's like,
production. It was very
yeah, it's out of like
casual, which I
laziness and
enjoyed.
avoiding of editing. It became like its own its own thing. Like
It did, yeah.
if or when I moved to a new place, everyone would be like, "Oh, you got to paint the walls like the straw yellow again," and like, it's not it's the whole format. Like I, and unintentionally got
Yeah, I
invented.
mean, look, it became a genre in and of itself, so
Yeah, I
I
know.
always appreciated that,
It's funny,
that it
but
was different in that
I
way.
know what you're talking about because like everything like on YouTube now, not when I joined originally, which was probably like I think my channel was created in probably like 2006 or 7 or something like that. It's been around a while. I just repurposed it. Um, like now everything is so polished that actually people tend to probably inherently trust me more, maybe more than they even should, just because I don't have all this crazy like 4K flashy B-roll all over the place, and it's just like a guy talking.
Yeah,
And so people have told me that, and I was like, I never even thought about that. It's just totally out of
yeah.
laziness, but it makes sense.
Yeah,
Well, the
and it
thing
was
is, the
also.
fact
Oh, go
that
ahead.
you can be lazy about that means you don't have anyone managing you. So, because their job is to care about that. So, it is actually a tell that you are just a person with your own opinion.
I'm just like I want to be fiercely independent is what that's what I always say. Like definitely had offers to join various like review teams. And I'm just like, I feel like my audience is like some of the most discerning audience, well, except for amps and decks, I guess. That's definitely not me. But in terms of headphones, like the detail to which they want to hear is very specific, and that's why they follow me. So to have me join another group is like ruins my reputation as an individual contributor to the hobby, sort of in a way, which is just funny. It's unfortunate, but I think that that's like the bias that might result from that. So I do like being able to run the show, but there's a lot of times, like I said, when I definitely would rather have other people to help run things. So I don't know. Still not really. Everyone asks this still, which I'm surprised by. But I'm not really planning to come back. I think that like show impressions and just impressions on products that are just little write-ups, that's fine. But to actually sit down and make a video was so much work already that I made that as easy as possible. And eventually I'm like, I don't even want to do that anymore.
See,
So,
but that's why, paradoxically, that's why people want you to do it anymore. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
that's why they want you back.
yeah, the format that I use is like so dead of a YouTube video format and is so unusual. Like it was what everybody did back in the day is get a camcorder with who knows what ancient format, just film something and then just upload it, or get one of
Yeah.
those flip videos and just film one file and upload the file. Like it's pretty much what I did with OBS. But that's like so
Yeah.
weird nowadays. Yeah.
It's a
Now
A little
vintage.
bit.
now we're really old.
Mm.
You get your analog YouTube. That's a
Yeah.
trendy word still, right?
I like that. That's good. Analog headphone reviews. I can rename myself to that.
So, I mean, to that point, though, I was a little not surprised, definitely not, because you are absolutely one of the more data conscious people I know in the hobby. Obviously, you've been out of it for a while, but I think you, understandably so, care quite a bit about frequency response and understand the value of it. Um, it would be interesting to see you incorporate measurements more, but I'm actually not sure it would like be a net positive for Metal 571 reviews. Like one of my favorite things
Yeah.
about your original reviews was that they weren't too biased by a measurement. Like you were very clear that the peaks you were hearing were peaks you heard in a sine sweep because you were using sine waves to like help identify that for your own equalization. Um, and I can't help but feel like a lot of the people, I mean, I've certainly been guilty of this myself, are a bit too biased by the measurements when they
It's
do a
hard
review.
not to be. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much thrust behind that these days,
Yeah.
you know, partially to our fault. But I do think that while it would be interesting to see you review and have measurements to kind of corroborate or extend whatever you're talking about, I do really prefer the style you had in a lot of your old reviews to a lot of the reviews that are coming out now, which are very measurement focused.
Yeah. No, I think that if I showed a graph, I'd be like, okay, well, this is what the 5128 said, but this peak right here doesn't exist, or like, I don't hear this at all, or like this looks really bad, but in my experience, it's like unnoticeable. Like I would mostly, I guess, would be pointing things out like that, like this looks
Which is
much worse
valuable.
than it is, or this is. But of course, that's one head and one pair of ears saying that, but it's interesting to add to the right, the database, if you will, of other people talking about the same product. So yeah, I guess that's true. That's probably what I would end up doing. I was very, very conscientious. I found out I guess this is related enough. I found out that I'm kind of classified as what's called an HSP in terms of like, I don't know, I guess that's psychology, feel like highly sensitive person. So like the way my brain works is like I can't like every time I look, I learn about something new, I have to just like I have to know everything about it immediately. Like I just need to like I can't like not like that's my default mode is to just scrutinize and be conscientious about everything to the nth degree. And that stresses me out a bit much. So I have to be careful and be
Sure.
now that I'm aware of that bias. But that's kind of what fueled everything. It's not just the fact that I'm an engineer as by degree, by college degree, but it's just the way my brain works. Is I hyperanalyze everything. So that's always been the approach. So you're right. Like
I
if I
would say
showed
that's
graph,
fairly common among kind of
yeah, yeah.
our group.
Our group of yeah. I mean,
Are
most
we going to do the
people.
bit where I talk about the diagnoses that are necessary to be an audio reviewer again?
You must have stomach issues. That is the first thing. You must
Oh man,
literally
well, I
have some
checked
sort
that
of
off
malady
last
that.
year, so
Oh,
thankfully
I
I'm past
remember.
that now. But oh man,
That's good. Yeah,
Ugh.
but we always joke about it because yeah, like Andrew has some stomach issues. I have some stomach issues. Doug has some stomach issues. Um, Thankfully, I think we're all kind of managing, but it's weird how it's all of us.
That's very strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
So but yeah, it's I've brought some of the headphones to like the office to just have like coworkers try them, and as sort of a semi experiment, and like about half of people, you guys already know this, but like half of people were like, it sounds like the song, and then the other half is like, whoa, this is actually really different and interesting. But then there's another special level of nerd that now needs to correlate all the treble peaks to specific frequencies, and like, this is not the average person's hobby. But that's like, actually that kind of ties into, this is why I want to eliminate subjective reviewing if possible, because we need to be able to tell the average consumer like, hey, this is actually going to be good for you. The chances are high. It's never 100%, but the chances are high, I think, that if you like this kind of sound, then this is a really good headphone. I think that's what we're really trying to solve at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, I would say everyone here is interested in improving the predictive power
Right.
of recommendations in this hobby, because
I mean, at current, you might as well just sort of use the magic 8-ball.
Yeah. It is.
And apparently it's going more in that direction of the 8-ball because of your guys' recent work.
Well, okay, to be fair, nothing that we have found, I mean, and obviously most of it is just data splunking in Sean's work, so obviously nothing of it overturns any of his work. It's just that there's been sort of a dogmatic reading of the Harman target that developed over the years, and I think it was a straw man originally from people who didn't like it, of, oh, if it doesn't match the Harman target, then you're saying it's garbage. And Sean every single time was like, no, that's not what I'm saying. But then a group of people sort of formed that were saying, yeah, if it doesn't match the Harman target, then it's garbage. So now we have sort of two sides, one side worshiping a straw man and the other side throwing things at the straw man. And we have been trying to say maybe we shouldn't have the straw man.
Yeah, I use that line as a common joke now, but you have to be careful because the other half of the people in the hobby are like, yeah, absolutely, it has to exactly match that line, otherwise I don't want it. Also, you have to use classical music to evaluate headphones only. It's another one that I love that one. That was great. I had that a couple
I think
times.
if we look at the Harman research, we can conclude that you should just use really bad music to evaluate headphones.
Yeah, actually, I think it was.
I do not like Blaine getting to dunk on me for my music taste. This is cruel and unusual. Steely Dan makes some good music.
I have Steely Dan on my test playlist. I pretty much always have.
All right, cool. Then it's 2 against 3. Yes. I feel better now.
No, hold on. Everyone has Steely Dan on their test playlist. How many people listen to Steely Dan outside of I Am Demoing Hi-Fi?
Unironically.
It's just Griffin. Griffin is the only person who unironically
it's just Griffin
listens
and Griffin's dad.
Yes.
Oh man.
The chat says Hotel California enjoyers. I'm gonna say that's one of the few areas where I agree with the dude. Fuck the Eagles.
So I just think that song in particular gets too much attention. There are some other really good songs on that album, but I'm not a huge fan of the Eagles otherwise.
You're the youngest looking person here, and yet you act like your music taste is like you were born in 1968.
Okay, so that doesn't really track though, because I'm also into the most like modern like pop stuff of probably anyone here.
I think that liking pop is actually, if we look at the demographics of people who go to Taylor Swift concerts, also in keeping with being born in 1968.
I don't even know how to digest that take. I feel like it's probably wrong. Maybe not Taylor Swift, but like I feel like the people at a Charlie XCX show are not overwhelmingly born in 1968.
Oh, not overwhelmingly, but I think that there's more of them than people in the weird X-lennial, zillennial thing that
I don't know about that.
Representing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been to a Charlie XCX show. In fact, I don't even know what Charlie XCX is, but
I haven't even listened to that. And every time I see it, it's like, oh, that must be some like young person thing. Kids these days.
It's a fun record.
That's me when
club
people start
record.
talking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, so Taylor Swift is one of the ones that I just like do not listen to at all.
What is a
I've never
Doja
liked it.
Cat by Golden Sun?
Well, it's a quote because I'm pretty sure that is that an Andrew quote or is that a Blaine quote?
That might be a Blaine quote. That sounds like something I would say.
Quote now, yeah. Oh man, the funny thing that I very unexpectedly heard was actually from Olive, not Sean Olive, but Olive
Olive's Gadget.
Yeah, Olive's Gadgets. That's the name of the channel, and he had made the remark that actually metal as a genre may actually be pretty good because the distortion of the guitar is so close to noise already. It like almost
and
is.
the frequency spectrum.
Yeah, and the
overall.
frequency spectrum is broad. I think he also made that comment, and I was like, that's exactly right, because like I know exactly what I've been playing guitar for like 20 years now, actually, just as a hobbyist, and so like I know exactly what like an amp actually sounds like, well, what's left of my hearing, but it's definitely true that like especially in the upper mids I can kind of judge because I am familiar with certain recordings how that tone was supposed to sound, and actually helps for that.
Metal albums are my go-to for judging the timbre from like 1K to 6K.
Yeah.
Like and also I did a histogram of the values of, I mean, it was just like part of the chorus of a Sabaton song. Yeah. And it literally has a histogram that is indifferentiable from Pink Noise. Like they're both just a bell curve. To be fair, obviously it varies by what part of the song you take, but still, it was funny. Cat.
Oh, very good.
Tell them, baby.
Loud cat.
Oh, now she's quiet.
Attention, cat. Yes.
We've given someone an existential crisis about whether metal is even a genre.
I would say it's very clearly a genre. No.
It's a genre of many subgenres.
There's too many. I have no idea how to classify the subgenres of it anymore, but I think that metal versus other things seems pretty clear. Yeah. But yeah, it's actually an oddly helpful audiophile tool.
Certainly. Okay, so is there anything else in terms of, I guess, your review style that you feel like you would have done differently? Because I asked this question expecting no answer, because I honestly thought your reviews were pretty thorough for what they were, and they were not bogged down in useless stuff, and you got pretty much to the point pretty immediately. So
yeah,
the answer's no.
I don't like intros that are like the same. Oh my god,
dude!
I just don't like intros.
Like,
I'll stop
most
there.
of your reviews, you'd be like, "This is the headphone. This is the kind of driver it is. This is how, if it's open or closed. All right, let's talk about the bass."
Yeah, I know. It's well, pretty much. I think I've said this before, probably on some live stream, but all I really did is I came up with like a Google Doc of and at one point I made them available to Patreon members just to get a preview of a video that I'm about to shoot or something like that. And it's just like a bunch of bullet points and for each category, and essentially the categories are heavily influenced by comments that I get. It's like, oh, you mentioned this, feels like you should expand on that for every product. And so I kind of evolved. The only evolution I went through over time was kind of like, what are the categories that I specifically like listen to or listen for, and how it fits within, like, how do I describe it in terms of that category? Like, there was an interesting one that Blaine probably wouldn't approve of, especially is genre pairing, because you never know like what the mastering really would be given a specific genre. I know Sean really hates that as well. So, but that was something that came out of like viewers requesting it, like, what would this be good for? And maybe in very broad strokes, I tried to answer that question, but just as an example, that kind of that was influenced by the audience. So the overall style, no, but the categories, yeah, evolve those over time. Okay, the cat has returned.
Yeah, she's being a brat. She's being very vocal.
I mean, it's her house too.
Yeah. It's her world.
Okay.
In it.
So the thing with the genre thing is, I mean, it's not just like an intent thing. Like at this point, I'm pretty much full on the why would I care what the mastering engineer heard? I care about what makes me happy thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that really matters. Does it sound the way I want? That's what I tell people as well. Like, does the music sound the way you want the music to sound for that like song or whatever?
There's only one person I've ever met who I wouldn't say that to. Was a girl who had she had a graphic EQ in her car, and she had taken every single one of the sliders and put them down except for 150 hertz, which she put up to max. And when I was like, why did you do that? She was like, I like bass. And I just sort of looked at her and I was like,
so
yeah.
What if the entirety of the response is actually fine, except there's a massive 150 hertz null?
The reason I looked is that I was like, that's weird. Why does it feel like I'm inside of a badly tuned bass drum? And where is all the rest of the music? And then I looked and I was like, oh, well, that's why. And I was like, it's like that? She's like, yeah, I want it like that.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Other than her, though, everyone else should have exactly what they want for their sound. Her, I think maybe there needs to be an intervention.
The problem is there's too many people thinking that everyone else needs an intervention. It's like, oh, if only you knew what neutral was. And I tried to that was what I was chasing when I started. I was like, first of all, EQ is illegal. Reddit told me that, so I'm not going to do that. Gotta be a headphone out there. That's exactly what I want. And that was the biggest joke in the world. But I seriously told myself that that's how I approached the hobby at the beginning, making sure not to use EQ. And then eventually somebody, man, I wish I remember their username, messaged me about equalizer APO, and then it was solved.
Yeah, it was this guy named Oratory 1990. He might have heard of
it. That was before Constantine.
Yeah, that was definitely before that. That was quite a while ago. But it's funny because growing up, I played with graphic equalizers all the time. I played with like my Sound Blaster driver with the EQ sliders, and I was always playing with it constantly.
And with the crystallizer, don't forget the crystallizer in Sound Blaster.
You gotta bring back that early quality 128K MP3 highs magically. Yeah, I had a CD MP3 player that had that sort of like. I don't know. It's definitely the same idea. Crystallizer. It's crazy. I don't know. As far as I know, the crystallizer, it wasn't just an EQ though, but I don't know what its algorithm was really trying to do. It was trying to bring back the like upper highs somehow.
I assume stuff like that is it's a combination of like trying to bring back like what is the word? It's trying to reconstruct.
Yeah.
But like not in the way a DAC reconstructs, like the opposite.
Yeah, it's trying to like restore lost content there.
Yeah, and this was before ChatGPT, so no, there was no AI trying to bring back the highs.
I also find
don't ask
stuff like that often tends to have an element of like multi-band compression where they like tend to also compress what's going on up there. So it's like both louder in like overall magnitude, but like in average magnitude as well.
Yeah,
I will say AI has shown some weird capabilities in terms of reconstructing waveforms. Obviously, the more complicated it gets, the worse it gets. But AI are really good at recognizing patterns, and that's all they do, really. So that's one thing where in the future, that may actually be more viable. Like we may see the end of hard clipping being a really audible problem from incompetents like me who can't help but eat the mic.
Yeah, maybe. I would like that reality. I don't like hard clipping.
Yeah. No, we shouldn't. There's always somebody with the 150 hertz slider, though, that probably prefers hard clipping music.
Dude, no. So I know I've now brought this up 2 streams in a row, but I got I got an incredibly stupid deal on a pair of Rebels, right? And I got them set up, and I was just watching Taskmaster, and I was like, Oh God, they really like the lav mics get crunched in that a lot, and when it
It's
was just on like
bad.
my projector speakers, you can't hear it because they were like a fucking low pass at 5 kilohertz or whatever,
Yeah.
and it was fine. But now I'm just like, oh yeah, wow, that's crunchy. Oof.
Yeah, it's really bad. Like especially in the like when they're actually doing the tasks, like the like, yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was bad.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I
yeah.
think we can move on to the next topic. Okay. So not really super audio related. In fact, pretty much the opposite. I've been wondering what kind of hobbies you have gotten into since leaving audio. Like if there's anything that you've, found yourself highly sensitive to and
Yeah.
really felt like diving deep in because I don't really know what you've been up to since leaving.
Yeah, my actual hobbies haven't really changed that much. It's kind of like I mean, I grew up playing, like I said earlier, a lot of PC games. So I actually had not upgraded my PC in like a decade. So I finally
Oh,
got around to that. I think that was late last year. Yeah. So
oh, cool. So
good old
recently.
AMD Ryzen gaming box that I got now, which is really nice. So now I'm able to play again because yeah, and then my wrist, I had wrist surgery like years ago. I think it was like 2018 that I finally got that, and luckily
Mm,
that is held up well, so I can still play. So I do follow that. I follow hardware a lot. I watch far too many Gamers Nexus videos. Um, I that was my concentration in grad school because I'm a computer engineer by education, not actually a comp sci major. Although that is what I do. I write software for a living now. That became sort of a semi hobby as well. Like during the pandemic, there was just so much downtime that I started learning everything I could about like uh, just programming languages and programming language design, and that got really, really nerdy, really fast, and I dove really deep. But it was all pretty fun because that a lot of software people have little side projects and whatever. Like I was
sure.
playing with Python to write some kind of Spotify like playlist organizer or whatever for myself the other week.
Useful.
So I do a lot of that, but only so much because I mean I'm already doing that full time. That's always been
Yeah,
my
sure.
my job, but it was kind of fun to explore that a little bit more. Um, Other than that, yeah, as I also said, I've been playing guitar for like 2 decades, and I think I saw somebody else say in the chat, being a tone chaser on amps and effects pedals and whatever, there's a lot of effects pedal boxes over there, so I have kind of collected a bunch of those. I have the only tubes in my house are for the guitar amps, so rather than headphone amps, so I've been playing that quite a bit, and
Do
it's
you
all
so
fun.
this is it's a thing I've noticed among a few of the kind of musically inclined instrumentalists that are also audiophiles and get into this hobby. Did you find that as you got more into audio that you played music less?
Um, I wouldn't say that. It was more what happened to me actually was that I just expanded my genres a lot more because I was like obviously a
Mm.
diehard metal guy forever, and then I realized that the video game music that I grew up with, which is all electronic, had a significant impact on me, and I explored like every
Mm.
genre there was on that, and then I heard things like Steely Dan, which actually I think Steely Dan is good, despite what Blaine
Eat it, Blaine.
insane. But I mean, it's not something I listen to that much, but like it was enjoyable. But like I had never looked at that when I was first growing up. Like it was always Beatles and Stones in the house, so I kind of started there and branched out into metal, and then explored a bunch of other genres I wouldn't have. But I wouldn't say like I played guitar less as a result.
Okay.
It's just yeah, not really. But yeah, it's yeah, everyone's talking about a guitar tube tone. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend actually owning a tube amp because
Good
it's like
take.
the modelers now are so good in software, it's just
They're
pointless.
stupid. They're very expensive,
And
but
I
they're
almost like destroyed like my knees and everything lifting this 70-pound thing like through the door.
yeah, dude.
It's
The
just
amount of like near deaths I've had just carrying an AC30 down some stairs.
Oh god, those things.
Way too
Yeah,
many.
way too many.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't do that nowadays. But that was always a dream. I always wanted to actually own a Mesa Boogie, so now I do.
Yeah, you
And
do.
I wouldn't recommend it though for the reviewers.
It's a good take.
But
Do as you say, not as you do.
exactly. So that's pretty much been my main hobbies there. Yeah.
Got it.
What happened?
We should game at some point also. It's weird to me that we've actually never played a video game together because we've known each other now for like 10 years, right?
Yeah, man. It's a long time.
You guys should play
keep
Cookie
playing
Mama
that.
together.
So you joke. You know what one of my absolute favorite multiplayer games is?
Overcooked.
Well, it's like Overcooked, but made weird. It's called Played Up. So it's Overcooked, but it's a roguelike.
Okay.
It's the most fun in multiplayer. It's just entirely stress and coordination issues, and I love it.
Ah, got it. And it's the kind of multiplayer that's like obviously meant to be played over the internet, not like in the same room with someone, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
LAN parties. Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Honestly, like at this point, I live in the same city as like 4 people I game with, but we still don't haul our PCs together because the thing is, well, for one thing, monitors, like for a period, monitors were light and LAN ready, but we've now gone to the point where like average gamer monitors are more cumbersome to haul than CRTs were.
Oh my god,
really?
That's true.
Yeah, no. Have you not seen where like 27 by 9 or no, some of them are almost 27 by 9, like ultra wide curved monitors.
Crazy large now, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like a 1000R, so it's basically like a hemicircle. They're terrible to move around.
Yikes.
You need the ultimate monitor stand for that. I finally got some gas spring monitor mounts, which I don't know how I lived without those for so long. But now you need a monster one if you want to use it with those giant. What size are those now? Like 40 inches or something for the ultra wide. It's crazy.
Here's a weird flex. My 70-something-year-old mother uses a 50-inch ultra wide.
Wow.
She wanted something that she could use with her M1 Mac, and they can only support one display output. So I was just like, well.
Oh, wow. I had not thought about that limitation leading to this, but here we are.
I did not. I was just like, well, I'm not going to try to explain to her, oh, this is the eGPU dock that lets it support 3 different monitors. Just like, oh. But yeah, no, 50 inches is not uncommon. I think Samsung has a bigger than 50-inch one. It's insanity.
Yeah, the Audeze.
Okay, that's like starting to get close to the size of my TV. That's no.
I mean, I've stopped using monitors entirely. I'm using TVs because I spent so much time focusing at like this range to this range that my eyes were becoming cone shaped. And I talked to my optometrist, and she was like, "Yo, your eyes are getting really worse really fast. Do you ever look at anything that's more than 2 feet away from you?" And I was like, "Might be the problem.
You have
might be the problem."
Got it. So now you use a projector, right?
No, I have 3 televisions on fucking like remote controlled stands on my wall.
Oh,
so I have a triple monitor set up with TVs, which is also cursed.
That's a very plain setup.
Yeah, they're right above my bed. So and the best part is that the spacings on my studs weren't right, so I had to use fucking lag bolts. So if the toggle bolts ever fail, I'll just die because I'll just have like 150 pounds of TV drop on me in my sleep.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's impressive. I definitely don't have enough room on the desk that I'm on here, which is still the same one from the early days of reviewing. So I just have a 27. I finally got a new monitor because I used this like I still have this Dell 24-inch 1200p from like 2012 or something, but that became my second monitor. I made it vertical off to the side. That was the only way I could fit two. I can't believe I didn't even have two monitors at home for the longest time. It's crazy because at work I've got my laptop as a monitor and then two more monitors. I actually kind of want like a fourth monitor. It's just
Jesus.
it's like I need Teams and Outlook, and then there's like whatever like Jira or the general the browser. Then there's all my coding windows, and I like to
I
like
feel
separate
so
things by monitor instead of having a giant monitor. I guess that's just
I feel so weird that I've like never really like cared so much about my monitor size, and I don't know if it's
Well,
because I don't game, but like I've always just
no,
been
it's
kind
not a
of fine
gaming
with
thing.
whatever.
Have you ever actually used 3 monitors though?
No.
Yeah, no, it changes you.
it's awesome.
It changes
I
you.
can see when people start typing their message to me before they.
But does it change me for the better?
Well, it makes you more productive, but also
yeah, productivity thing. I agree.
It's like developing an amphetamine addiction. It twists you into a horrible husk of a person, but it does make you more productive.
Husk of a person who mounts TVs with lag bolts.
Listen, if it works, only one of them has torn out of the drywall, I'll have you know, and it wasn't the one that was over my head.
Oh man. Oh, that's funny.
They're rated for the weight. Admittedly, they're not rated for that weight on a cantilevered arm. But you know.
I'm sure you did a lot of research to come up and make this happen. So hopefully it holds, but wow. Wow.
You know, this is just gadget hour now, but what I was gonna say is for people like, actually for all of us, I really hope that this whole AR monitor, virtual monitor thing is actually viable someday soon. The first time I saw someone having like 4 virtual monitors on an Oculus Quest, well, I guess it's a Meta Quest now. I was like, but then I realized I don't want to wear, you know, a 1 pound thing hanging off my eyes. But if I could just have like glasses that were screens that let me have virtual screens, that would be so sick.
Would be nice.
That was the first thing I saw in AR demos where I was like, ooh, more monitors. It really is a problem. I guess you're right. I hadn't thought about it that way, but
it's an addiction.
That ability is just like, but there's got to be a certain point, which I haven't reached yet, where there definitely is so much happening that like there's just no purpose anymore to having 7 or 8 monitors looking at things.
The point where I capped out was 5.
Wow.
And at 5, it is a lot, yeah. But you can't really pay attention. Like I had them in like an X configuration. I had one big one in the middle and then 2 stacked side by side on the sides.
Oh, man.
I was like, okay, Discord, other chats, browser window, music player, YouTube, you know, whatever. Main thing that I'm focusing on in the main screen. And I was like, okay, I cannot. I was like, I could add more, but I can't control them. I can't control them anymore. It's become too much.
At that point, I don't know how you concentrate on the thing in the middle because something's going to happen around the monitors and take away your focus. Like, yeah, there's some point where. Anyway,
I grew up in a house that had like no walls though, because it was built by a fucking crazy artist. So I'm very used to just filtering shit out of my brain.
Okay.
Like it was literally one big room.
Wow, that's interesting decision.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
I mean, I think we're pretty much done with this topic, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so no, it's okay. I wasn't sure about this next question because I mean, I feel like metal hasn't really been around for it so much. But I would like to discuss it, and maybe metal can still have some opinions and chime in. The subject is, which headphone company, to your perception, has done best since you left? So obviously you haven't gotten to try a lot of the products, but I guess the kind of underlying question is like, who's the winner of the last like 5 years?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can answer specifically just because I haven't been keeping up as much as I used to. But there is something I do want to say about this, which is like what makes a company be in the running for that to begin with. And like the biggest thing that actually I think gets overlooked a bit is the support quality and the ability for the customer, not the customer, the ability for the companies to take feedback and really do something about it. And there's just, it's amazing how many companies just ignore all of that and just like no. And like I think that um, especially in such a competitive and like niche space that we're in, like if you really want to differentiate yourself, you got to build up a reputation of like excellent customer support, because these things are relatively exotic and they're gonna break. Like, well, that's a whole nother question. Like, can you even make an audiophile headphone that's reliable? But anyway, that
Blaine proved last
yeah.
stream, 2 streams ago, that you can, when he threw his HD 800 across the room and it survived.
I did do that.
Oh, I actually saw that.
We do not
Because there was
endorse
the
this
clip.
behavior.
Yeah. There was the clip. I think who clipped it? Did you clip it on Twitter or something? That was really
Someone.
funny.
Somebody did.
Yeah. That was excellent. But yeah, that aside, like the because that's not, I wouldn't even say that's the typical case that we have especially reliable audiophile products at all at this point. Like the support quality matters so much, and then building up a reputation among people being like, oh yeah, that brand, I had an issue with it, but they took care of me so well and was like excellent experience with their support and stuff like that. So so there are companies I can name that fall into that category, but it's doesn't really count. I'm fully aware that it doesn't really count for me to say that because I'm a reviewer. So like, like if there
Yeah,
was
it's
special
really hard
treatment,
for us
I'm
to
going to get
give
it.
an
So like,
objective
how do I know? So I have
accounting
to
of that.
get like consensus from the community that that's really true. Like I guess like okay, I can name one, which is the JDS's support is just crazy. Like I've never seen somebody respond faster to a, hey, I bought this thing used. And actually what happened was my JDS Atom that I bought used, the pot was just, and this is a common problem, the pot was slightly out of spec, so one of the channels was slightly louder than the other. And their
Happens.
tolerances are actually closer, I think, than the manufacturer even gives them. So they have to
Bin
like weed
parts,
through a
yeah.
bunch of them. And yeah, that was crazy. I think it was like 5 minutes later I got a reply. I was like, what in the world is happening? But again, it's coming from me, so like it doesn't really hold the same weight at all. But it seems like that's the consensus. So that's what I like to see in a company, and like giving the customers what they're asking for to, from feedback. That's the kind of companies that tend to win that. It's almost that like that's just as important to me as the actual sound quality that's happening.
Yeah, I get that.
It's really high on my list of things that matter about who's like going to win as a company. So
For the
that I will
former
say.
thing, it's kind of tough to account for at all, because like, yes, obviously as reviewers, we're not going to get the same treatment everyone else gets, so it's hard for us to say something and be like, yep, this will be how your experience goes. But I also find it's hard to like trust the community consensus a lot of the
Yeah, I
time,
know. How do you
because
really
the
know?
community consensus, like the community is so still driven by like memes and lore, and
I know.
just over biased by, I think, the negativity, because just, negative experiences are going to be more often reported than positive ones.
We're not going to get access to the actual support data, so like you really don't
Yeah.
know how that's all internal stuff. So I don't really know.
The
Yeah.
real trick is that you just send dozens of fake support requests to every company. Then you can build your own independent database.
I'm sensing
A very plain answer.
A Linus Tech Tips the secret shopper. That was
I
the
like
idea
that,
behind that is
actually.
really cool. Yeah, we need that
Yeah.
for headphone support.
I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible idea. It's just I wouldn't be interested in doing it.
No, that's miserable on both sides, but it is
Yeah.
something where I mean, secret shopping in general is one of those things that's no fun for anybody, but it is kind of important.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
I will say I think that the true winner of the last half decade of audio is metal because he hasn't been following that closely. Having good headphones and not following the community stuff very closely is basically the most enjoyable way to do audio.
I know. It's such a shame because, you know, I've obviously been interested in this my whole life, way before I decided to actually get into reviewing. And then once you become a reviewer, you don't want to be a reviewer anymore. You do initially because you have so much, you're happy and enthusiastic about this, and then you deal with the community, and it's like, oh no.
So this is one thing where I feel I don't know if my experience is just different or if the community is actually different. I feel like
Depends on where you
between you
go.
and I metal, like we had very different experiences with the community. Um, I feel like you, unfortunately, well, you're also way bigger than I ever was, but you got a lot of negativity that
Oh, so
I
much.
simply haven't seen in like my current time in the hobby. Um, so like I hope things are improving, but I don't know if you just happen to
Yeah, I don't
attract
know.
the ire of a few truly bad eggs.
Yeah, I have no idea why that would happen, but I felt like I was starting to even become part of that, like, oh,
Mm,
everything is negative community. Like, it was definitely becoming a part of me, and I was like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Now that I think about it, think back, like it was affecting me, and that it was trying to absorb me into that. It's like I'm
yeah.
glad that I got out of there before that got worse.
I
But
have a
it's
hot
too
take
bad.
on Griffin. You spent some amount of time on 4chan in your youth, and I actually think that inoculated you to some of the crazy because I've seen some of the
Probably,
shit that
yeah.
there are some crazy individuals who have talked to both of us, and it just kind of flows off of you like water off a duck's back. So I think that it may just be that you notice less or are more just assuming that the internet will just be profoundly horrible and insane.
You're aware of the internet's affliction.
Yeah, basically. I don't know.
Maybe.
What I've seen you to be very casual about is stuff that other people I've observed to be more unhappy about it.
I'm just built different. What can I say?
Sigma male. All right.
Anyway, so
Griffin Sigmar over here.
ew, I hate that. Stop that. In terms of what headphone company is winning, so I would actually like to comment on the headphone company I think is winning. Uh, and I think in terms of like actually being successful and actually like making products that are better, you do kind of have to like separate the two. Because I think there are brands like Meze where like with every product they release, it does seem they are gradually improving. Um, and I would say the same for other brands. Like I would actually say that about Dan's headphones as well, like the DCA stuff. Like um, I didn't really love the first implementations of the metamaterial stuff, but they're getting better, and I would love it if the next thing he attacked was kind of like the weight of his headphones. But they're
Which is
becoming
ironic because he
fairly.
actually started out quite good in weight.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, yeah. The first time I tried the Ether, like or the original Ether, was like not too long ago, and I was gobsmacked by how light and comfortable it was. Um, But so separating that, because like I would say of the companies doing best since I left, there's like the category of the people who are like gradually improving and getting like quite a bit better than they were maybe when you left metal. And I would say Meze is probably like my number one choice there. Um, but then there are the companies where there's like it's like financial success, like they're selling a lot, they're uh, either getting a lot of investment or just making a lot of money and have grown a lot since you left. And I would say there it's probably between Hi-Fi Man and Audeze. I would say it's probably like if it had to come down to one that I would think is the most successful at current, it's probably Hi-Fi Man in terms of like where they were when you were reviewing versus now. But I could see an argument for the other.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that Audeze overall kind of sweeps this category, right? Because in the time since he's left, Audeze has gone from having a few tentative steps into wireless stuff to having by far the best wireless headset. They've gone from really the only cheap planar they had was the Sign at that point, which was...
And the LCD one.
That's true. No, he did overlap the end of the LCD one. That's true.
Was the end.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was like one of the last reviews, and I think it might have been like one of the reasons for
it is still one of the reasons. Yeah, never be the first reviewer to drop the review. Anyway, go for it.
So, but those were, all of them were bad in their own way. The EL8, the LCD1, the Sign, they all had pretty big flaws. So nowadays, though, I mean, you have the Maxwell, right, which is a cheap, relatively light Audeze planar. I mean, ironically, the LCD series, I think that they don't seem as in their stride because the LCD series has kind of been left to, you know, they don't really care about it as much. But when you look at where Audeze is focused, they have absolutely they dominated the gaming headset space so much that PlayStation bought them. Like, they have become more powerful than we can possibly imagine.
For some reason, that phrasing just makes it like a little bit eerie, but I know what you mean.
I mean, it's mind-boggling to me that they went from we only make analog headphones to where they are now in basically 6 years. Like, that was, and I mean, like, the first DSP cables and stuff for the EL8 were terrible. Like, they had, but they have gone through the teething issues so fast and have gotten to such a strong position that it's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, it does leave the legacy products a bit in a strange position. And then further, it's kind of forked, not to use software terminology, but it's kind of forked in two directions where there's the new chassis stuff and then there's like the legacy chassis stuff. And they both have like different tuning targets. And that's kind of bizarre to me. That's why I didn't think that, I didn't immediately want to say that either, that Audeze would be the pick. But, you know, thinking about, like, at least I haven't heard it yet, but I'm sure when I hear it, I'll agree that the Maxwell seems like everything that everyone has been asking for all in one product, and it deserves to be an enormous hit if it is sounding as good as everybody, and it must be, because that's an enormous industry also, and customer base compared to, you know, what they were chasing before. So it makes sense.
And by all accounts, they weren't prepared for the success. Like, they just made a very good, affordable product, and then we're a little bit shocked when, oh hey, actually turns out everybody wants this. So that was another issue that they had to overcome, and it seems like they have.
I do kind of see this as the completion of what Audeze has kind of tried to work for since the LCD4, because in that period they have devoted a lot of their engineering to the HRTF processing stuff, the head tracking, the wireless implementation. Yeah. And these have gotten better and better and better. And you can see that that's where they're putting a lot of energy, whereas they haven't really made something better than the LCD4. I'm not even sure they've really tried to make something better than the LCD4. Like, they made the 5 and they released it, and then that's we have no, I mean, I guess there was the MX4, which again kind of fits into their sort of history of doing the we remixed the driver somehow thing. Right. But it doesn't seem like they've been really questing to make something that is flagship audiophile. It's just like they have continued to make audiophile stuff. They've made some new SKUs, but they've put a clear fuckload of effort, which has yielded massive results, into the gamer stuff. So what I'm saying is I think that sadly Shankar is a gamer.
No, I think Sankar is just a very shrewd CEO and like actually very well understands like what was even possible for a company like this and what path to or what the path to success actually looked like. And credit to him, like most of the other like audiophile brands have not made nearly the inroads in gaming and haven't made nearly the quality of products in that sphere. And it's
Or nearly the quantity of money.
also true. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I think Audeze has in terms of the actual objective success as a company, really yeah, knocked it out of the park compared to the others.
I'll be waiting for my check, guys.
I mean, no, I think look, I think we all kind of sing the praises of the Maxwell because like it's really hard to find any fault in it other than, you know, the maybe like the ergonomics and stuff like that. Like by all accounts, it's a reasonable thing. And when it comes down to it, that's really what we're looking for a lot of the time. Like as reviewers, we're not looking all the time for something that's just going to be like crazy. We want something that we can recommend to people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm audiophiles are slightly sad that there hasn't been maybe as much focus on the LCDs as a result of that, except for like the kind of I guess the new ones are kind of more experimental with the tuning because they didn't stick with what was working tuning wise. They tried to correct it, but now I don't know what the market looks like. It's split between those two kinds of house sounds too, but you know, I'm sure that that's such a small that's such a small amount of the sales. I'm guessing compared to my Maxwell is just such a big market product. So
I really hope that because I know they're going to keep doing gaming headsets. Like if they can make a $100 headset with margins like the Maxwell,
oh
then
my god,
they will be so rich. Why are you shaking your head?
No, I'm just saying like that would be incredible.
Oh yeah, that'd be
I didn't
insane.
even realize I was shaking my head. I was just listening to you.
Oh, okay. I really hope that at some point they come back to hi-fi and that they haven't just decided to abandon us, because I would really like the skill that they have displayed in areas that we don't care as much about is insane. I just don't want it to be another Apple situation where they're like, we're just like, oh my god, they're so good at everything, but they don't care about what we want.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they understand that their roots are important, which is why I mean they still like name all the gaming products after like scientists. Like at their core, they have always been a very nerdy company. So I don't really see them foregoing catering to their original nerdy fans as well.
the chat makes a point with, yeah, how much is the Pulse Elite?
Has anyone measured that? Because I've been so curious about that.
Gadgetry Tech has.
How does it measure?
The Pulse Elite?
Yes.
Is that the over ear, not the on ear one?
Yes.
Okay. That one is pretty sure it's very bright. Maybe not that bright. It's fairly bright. So that's the one that uses planar, right? I would call that fairly bright. But otherwise,
can you drop
reasonable.
Can you drop a measurement in the chat? I'm failing.
Yeah, hold on. And I guess I'll also try to. Hello. Okay, hold on.
I love your cat.
See that? I also love my cat. What a nice coincidence.
Yeah, I mean that's
That pad bounce though, is that what that's going on in the bass?
I don't know what's happening in the
No, I don't.
bass.
So Constantine has described that to me. I don't think it's pad bounce as much as it is like something to do with the stiffness of the rear closed volume.
Oh yeah, so it's the cue of that volume, and it's the wibbles. No, that makes sense. So if you overlay it, hold on, I've done that. I've overlaid it with the Maxwell. You can kind of see that there's some commonality in the broad strokes, but I'd kind of like to get something that had more commonality in the fine details too, please.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Maxwell just kind of looks like a better headphone, but Pulse Elite is a lot cheaper, right?
Yeah, what was
I
the
would
price
still be
point?
interested to try it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, you would probably like it more than I would, but yeah.
Well, yeah, because I don't care about treble spikes. Well, I say that. I've actually, I don't like the Utopia treble spikes, which nobody else seems to care about.
Really?
But...
That's like, I thought that wasn't as bright as I thought it was going to be.
I think...
Well, it's not bright in aggregate, but I found the treble unpleasant.
It's not. Yes, they are very specific narrowband peaks.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I would call the focal headphones on the dark side.
I would agree with that. I would call them, as we used to say in the before times, dark bright.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like the LCDX. Yeah.
LCDX is definitely dark bright.
That's like
I would say
of it.
Why does it have finger gun?
Why does
the Pulse Elite have finger gun?
Are you talking about the yokes?
Well, I mean, but they always doing this all the time.
It's boomer, man.
Okay. Anyway, I think we can move on from this topic. So now is I just have a few impressions I want to give really briefly, just because I was sent some gear. The first thing I was sent was the Moondrop Concerto, and I actually think I am going to devote my time to a full review of this for a few reasons. For one, it is I don't know if you can see this, but it's a MEMS driver. So I think the driver complement is 1 planar and 1 MEMS, which sounds like exactly the kind of thing I would hate. And I do not love the idea of it, but the sound is actually reasonable. I would say it is nicely thick in the bass and low mid-range. It has a little bit of upper mid-range forwardness to help balance that out. And it is bright, but not too bright, above 8 kilohertz. I would say the most interesting thing about this is that it uses MEMS and has like a USB cable only. So it's like DSP'd to get that response that it has. I do not think this is a product most people should probably get, though. It's $330 for something that is not really that well tuned and is not really that ergonomic and can only be used with a USB-C cable. But I also just don't really think MEMS drivers are worth anyone paying any attention to. And I feel like when they like first started getting attention in like, I want to say around like 2020 or something like that, as like a novel driver for specifically IEMs usually, there was a whole bunch of talk about how technical they were and how fast they are and all that. And it's because they only produce treble. It's they don't really do anything else. So like using them as a treble driver would make sense if there weren't also caveats like having to have special power requirements or them being extremely fragile. So look out for that review. I actually think the concerto or concerto, no, it's concerto, sounds pretty decent. It's just not a good value, and it's not the kind of product I would ever really stand behind just based on everything else about it. The main thing I like about it is actually that the USB connector has like a little bit of like a horn shape right here. And that shape really nicely fits into my fingers. So when I pull this thing out and put it in, it feels really good. That's the only real thing I think is special about it.
When will you learn to think about phrasing? Good God.
Anyway.
Good to say that's clipped.
That'll be clipped. So the other thing is I bought another pair of AirPods Pro 2 because I didn't own one before. Or I have owned them before, but I didn't have one currently. And there were some things I wanted to try. I wanted to try the new hearing aid thing once that gets pushed to my phone. Because the fact that it has democratized the audiogram is very interesting. That you can just do that yourself without needing a professional to do that for you. And all the other hearing aid stuff is generally just very interesting to me. But also I've said it before and I'll say it again. It is a very good sounding IEM, and I would take it over the concerto as well as over most things. It's a little warm, a little too warm, but the rest of its sins are minor, if they're at all. That's basically it in terms of impressions, though. Keeping it brief. Didn't really have anything else worth talking about. Have you guys heard anything good recently?
What's the last thing I bought? Probably a Sporta Pro. I don't know why I did that.
Wait, you bought a Sporta Pro? What?
I wanted to complete my collection of Koss 60 ohm. Actually, it's probably still not complete because I don't have the wireless.
Yeah, you have to get the new one.
Oh, this is officially the dumbest design of all time. Like,
how dare you?
This is so bad. Like it really only works for me in like regular Porta Pro mode, and then you lose the the clamp adjustment because I didn't put the clamp adjustment on it. But yeah, it's just so wacky to put it into the other mode. Like, what the hell is that? Like, it kind of works, but maybe only on certain heads. But this
I will
is
not stand for this slander.
It literally sounds the same. It's the exact same driver as a Porta Pro.
Yeah,
so there's literally nothing that you're missing about the sound. It's just, that's a novelty. And it was cheap.
You didn't want to go for Porta Pro wireless?
No, I don't think that was out yet. I just was like, I had some price alert probably on this Porta Pro. Because I just wanted to complete the collection. Because I have other dumb things that nobody should buy, like the KTX Pro 1 as well. Like some weird models. It's got the KSE 75 drivers, but it's the physical design doesn't make a lot of sense. It was in my Koss roundup forever ago. Let's see. Too many things stuck together. Yeah, this thing. The silver one with the the problem is this swivel makes no sense because the swivel is like at an angle and it doesn't swivel this way, only this way. So like it doesn't like fit right.
Yeah, that's so one weird. Of those things where there was a spec given and a spec followed, but nobody really thought about it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like putting KSE 75 drivers on a Porta Pro. Sounds the same. But yeah, the KPH 30i and KPH 40, yeah, that's the same driver as well. It's like the only Koss driver. Actually, their E-stat is kind of cool, but it's got the same weird problems as Lambdas have with like this frequency response. I haven't listened to that thing in a while. It is up there on my shelf still, but it's kind of cool. Like if my LCD2 needs to go in for service or breaks, that's probably what I would pull out to play around with because it is pretty nice once you EQ the crap out of it again.
Someone in chat asks if we've heard the Aun SR7000.
No.
That's their new closed back, right?
That is their new closed back. Yeah. Someone recommended that to me, and then I looked at it, and I was like, nope. But
it's interesting they made a closed back that looks like an open back.
Yeah. Wonder if that'll help the soundstage. Just it looking more like an open back.
If I was rich, I would buy this just to try it out, but I'm not, so I'm not going to do that.
Cool. Okay. I mean, if no one else has
I
any
heard the
impressions,
Edition
I think...
XS.
Oh, did
It's been a
you?
while since I heard that. Yeah.
What'd you think?
Found it in the garbage can. It's okay. I mean, it sounds kind of like the old Ananda did to me. All the Eggy Mans kind of have similar themes, but it was all right. It's like one of those things where like I don't like it as much as the HD800. There are commonalities with the HD800 in terms of both what I like and what I don't like, but also you can get them for like $300 now, which is actually crazy. So I was like, yeah, I would probably rec this to people over the HD6XX. I think it's worth the extra. Get a little bit less of a thick boy bass. Yeah, I know you wouldn't.
It's just...
Get a little bit more treble.
More than a little bit. It's also just like, at least for me, it's a weirder comfort. Like,
I find it more comfortable for me. I think that maybe for the small head boys, it may not be as good though.
It's reasonable. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's compelling now that it's like 280 or something like that, but...
Oh yeah, when it came out, it was a terrible idea. But nowadays, I'd be like, yeah, why not? Seems like a reasonable price. Someone in chat says, or get the FT1 with a pad swap. I'm not going to use a high acoustic impedance headphone, and you can't make me.
I would never dream of it, Blaine. Okay, I think we can move on to what we're listening to. If any of you have listened to any new music, can share that with the chat. Metal, anything you've been listening to?
Actually, I do post it sometimes in the in the music channel, but it's
like on the Discord?
Probably obscure. Oh yeah, on the Discord. Yeah. I definitely still check the Headphone Show Discord. Is it branded as such or headphones.com? That's what it is.
Headphones.com Discord.
Yeah, I do post it in there. One of the things, it's kind of funny. The one of the Audeze artists, I don't know if he still is, probably is Hannes Beeger, I think, and he's a pretty, I guess, pretty famous techno producer. But I think he does everything on like analog synths and analog everything. So it's kind of fascinating because he's plugging in like LCD4s. There's pictures of him like mixing stuff. Yeah, thanks. Into these giant analog racks that are taking up like a whole wall. It's
sick.
It's entertaining. So I like that stuff. I have a friend who's really into synthesizer. It might as well be synth collecting at this point because
that's the thing. You're into modular synths for like a month, and then it's just collecting.
Yeah. So it's interesting stuff to me. So I have listened to some of his newer stuff, and it's interesting.
Cool. Blaine?
So I'm trying to figure out if I've mentioned these guys before. I have one thing that I'm fairly sure is new, which is that I listened to some sort of pop rock, maybe vaguely slightly punky thing called the Orion Experience. They had an album called Fever Dream that I listened to, and I was like, you know what? I kind of like this. It's schlock, but everything I like is schlock. But I enjoyed it.
Got it.
Found a new kind of folky band, which is Skippinish, which I think is Scottish, if I had to guess. They have kind of a
are you
shanty.
Typing these in the chat, by the way?
Oh, I will. All right. The Orion Experience.
Just in case people want to look them up.
Nobody wants to look up my music. My music taste being terrible is a recurring joke of this whole stream.
But you're not the only person who has terrible music taste. Some people might also identify with you.
Oh, God. Anyway, other than that, I've been listening to Bloodsucking Zombies from Outer Space again. They occasionally go hard, but usually miss. But Pig Hunt is a great song.
Pig Hunt.
Yeah.
Got it. So I haven't really been listening to any albums because I was still working on, I don't know where it is.
Working on your own album.
That Imaginal Disc review. But I've heard a few songs that were really interesting and got me fired up. So the first one was the new Tyler the Creator song, Noid. Came out with a video as well that was typical of Tyler, a aesthetic treat. But the song itself goes pretty fucking hard. So I really enjoyed that. I'm very excited for that album when it comes out. And then the other musical happening that I would recommend to probably mostly people who are already a fan, but people who want something kind of interesting. An artist I really like called Caroline Polachek, who I will type in chat, did a cover of Radiohead's True Love Waits with like just vocal and an ambient synth in front of Claude Monet's water lilies at a museum. And the video is pretty surreal. It's like a combination of everything I love in life. But I watched that video like 20 times, like just listening to the performance. And it was actually a very good take on, like, a lot of people don't really like professionally cover Radiohead because their arrangements are very well thought out and there's not really a ton to improve on in a lot of cases. And they're also often very experimental. So there's not a lot of like other experimentation to be done. But it was a very unique take on a song that is very sad, but a very good song nonetheless. And yeah, I watched that video many times. That's probably the most often thing I've listened to over the last week.
And what have you added to your audiophile test playlist lately? Actually, I try not to change mine too much, I guess, because you don't want to, like, now you need to go back and listen to all the other headphones you've ever heard.
It's a good point, actually.
Kind of figure it out. It's also kind of interesting, those playlists, because I guess you're kind of targeting the average of like all the headphone presentations. Like, you can't really know what the song is supposed to sound like unless I don't know, maybe flat speakers in an anechoic chamber. No, not an anechoic chamber. Sorry, a room.
Yeah,
the Harmon room. That's what we got to listen to all of those playlists in the Harmon room to really know.
We just gotta enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but
no, but I know what you mean. Like, when it comes to my reference playlist, I rarely add stuff.
Right,
like,
yeah.
I made the playlist probably like at this point, probably like 4 years ago, and I've added things here and there, but it's a rare occurrence, and it's only when I have heard it so much that, like, if I had to, like, if someone handed me an incorrectly EQ'd version of this mix and I had to EQ it by ear,
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, though. I never really thought about how like reference playlists should or shouldn't evolve, but they probably shouldn't too much. Uh-oh, Blaine's in chat.
There's a new DT19.
Well, so Capra was like, Blaine, I really like the music you listen to, and I said you shouldn't tell on yourself like this. He's like, you shouldn't hate your own taste in music. But I don't hate my taste in music. I don't apologize at all for my taste in music. That's why I talk about the weird shit I listen to on here. But I also acknowledge that for the vast majority of people, they're just listening to like, what the fuck is this? To some degree, that's almost part of the appeal.
Like your own appeal, you would say.
Well, that too, yeah. I do also definitely, like, a small portion of my looking at music is like, all right, at some point somebody's going to ask me for music. I'm going to try to find something that's, like, agreeable, and then I'm going to try to find something that's just absolutely fucking weird.
And the latter is usually what you enjoy.
I enjoy, I mean, listen, like, I have fairly normie taste in, like, folk music.
Yeah, folk normies are a specific breed, but yeah, no, I would say the folk music you've sent me was very clearly just folk music. It was not.
Also in metal, I'm only like third tier weird. Like half of the metal I listen to is power metal, which is normie metal.
That's quite normie. Actually, I like to describe my music taste as dumb people music because, like, weird time signatures just don't like. I
Oh.
can't. I find that strange. Like, I will actually listen to and somewhat enjoy almost anything. But it's got to be like 4/4 or 3/4.
I'll listen to anything in 4/4.
It's like it makes me wonder if audiophiles tend to have like a reputation for their music taste of like being weird, like, or at least having, I don't know, I'm not sure. That doesn't seem to fit me that well. But more often than not, it's yeah, like Dream Theater is actually a good example of like,
Mm.
I appreciate it and all, but it's like, how do you headbang to that? Like, it's weird. Like,
I think that's part of the appeal, is that it's like challenging to do. Like once
yeah,
you've internalized the rhythm, you get the reward of being able to headbang to it.
I
I
guess
don't
so.
like
And
Dream Theater
Tool also is
or
really so much math they're playing with the music itself, which I think is just brilliant. But like, I appreciate it, but like, I don't know. It's
yeah, no, I'm not
leave it
I'm
out
not
there.
as someone who has played a fair share of mathy music, not on that level, but
Yeah,
like
that's extreme.
it's it's fun, but I get why someone would not like ever want to bother with it. It's more brain power than music should take.
Well, that's why I'm wearing the Metallica shirt, which is interesting because like Master of Puppets has a kind of very unusual structure to it with the whole
Yes.
interlude and like I've
Mhm.
watched classical like composers react, videos to metal, and it's fascinating to have them explain. And it's like, this is they actually think it's really interesting because it's not just people screaming or whatever. So
No, it's not. And a lot of the weird things that
interesting.
happen, like time signature stuff, aren't necessarily someone thinking like we have to make this mathy. It
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
from a vibe and then it just ends up being
No,
that.
I
But
totally get that. It's not like, "Oh,
yeah.
let's just confuse everybody as much as
I
possible."
mean,
Like,
sometimes it is. Sometimes it absolutely
I'm
is, and I
sure that is.
refuse to believe that it isn't.
Those are the
But
ones Blaine will go for.
There was, I want to say it was a Nanowar of Steel album. And this is showing its age because this was one of like the bits between songs, back when albums had like a
Oh,
30-second talking segment for some reason.
mm,
But they were like, do you know how Dream Theater make their complex music? They take a CD of Manowar like this, and then scratch the picture of an erect cock into it with a knife, and then they
Jesus
play it.
Christ.
And I'm verbatim quoting them. I want it to be on the record, but no, I mean, but the bit obviously being that you just end up with the weird stuttering rhythm that you end up there when you have a read error.
Yes,
So
literal
anyway,
skits.
I mean, it is actually they actually did a bit where they did that, and it's actually kind of uncanny. Anyway, no, but I've never been able to enjoy like animals as leaders or whatever, like,
Gent.
Yeah.
well, Jen is ugh.
Even Meshuggah confuses me. Like, that's how
Well, yeah.
low level I am on
I mean, like,
musical
I'll own
complexity.
that I'm a zero brain person. Like, I enjoy Feuerschwanz. I enjoy Ailstorm.
Oh,
Like, I
Ailstorm is
enjoy,
so much fun.
yeah, Ailstorm. Honestly, almost anything Chris Bose does is incredibly stupid, and I enjoy it. The weird
Zero
the
brain gang.
yeah. I even like the weird knockoff of his band. What is it, like Angus Mc6 or whatever, that was made by his Mad X guitarist, which is even stupider. But you know what? Music fun. I enjoy.
Hell yeah.
That's the only thing that really matters. That's why we're here at all.
Okay. Do you guys want to
Right.
move on to the subjectivist challenge?
Yes. Also, I'd like to apologize. I actually forgot before I was halfway through that anecdote that it was actually that crass. I just remember that they were doing the carving into a CD bit, and I was like, "Oh, right, that was the whole joke." Was yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, so Metal, have you seen any streams with the Subjectivist challenge? Do you know how it works generally?
Oh, I don't think I've seen that segment yet. Okay. So,
We got to
Okay.
describe a headphone entirely using subjective-y words.
oh
No
gosh.
frequencies, no ranges.
Yeah. You got to
Nope.
truly get yourself back into like 2018
Wow.
metal. Or no, even earlier than that, probably.
I think I was still saying the word kilohertz in every video at the beginning.
Yeah.
That was
Then you
way
just have to
after.
role play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. That's
Okay.
funny. There's
Some of
so
us are
many,
better than doing it than others.
so many headphones that descriptions could be. So that's gonna be.
Yeah,
Oh
it's going to
man.
be fun. So now we just kind of either think of one ourselves or the chat can recommend us a headphone to do.
In
So if
DMs.
anyone, if anyone has if anyone on Discord has me and wants to suggest a headphone, feel free. My DMs are open, but only for this.
Okay, so I just want to, before we do this, you can translate Rob most of the time. He says it is importantly to enjoy terrible music as much as you can, except for C and W. Oh, country and western. Wow, it's been so long since I've seen it abbreviated that way.
Oh wow, that's what that stands. Oh wow. Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay.
Okay, you want to start?
I haven't received any recommendations, so now I'm just kind of
All right, well,
thinking
I
of
got
one
one.
that I know we've all. Yeah, go.
So this headphone is well, I think people consider it to be really sort of a reference point when it comes to the lower registers. This is a headphone that was very, very heavily advertised to me in that respect by a lot of people who liked it a lot. They always said, oh, this has so much sense of impact, so much sense of presence at low frequencies. For me, I ultimately found it to be, I perceived it that way, but I perceived it that way, I think, mostly because there was a lack of anything else. This is a headphone that I found that I
LCD4.
cranked. No, it is not the LCD4. This is a headphone. No frequencies, damn it. Someone says, yes, sorry. It's a headphone that doesn't really have anything else in my perception of it. It's a headphone that when I listened to it, there was no crispness. There was just sort of a dullness to it. And I found that it sounded quieter than it was. I tended to crank it up in volume. And I think that's why it felt like it was punching me in the ears, because it was hitting me in the ears. It was honestly kind of veiled, to be frank. Much more so than the infamous HD 650, which is obviously the reference point for being veiled.
Naturally. I mean, is it an Audeze?
You know it is.
Okay. LCD2.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was my experience of the LCD2. I cranked it like 10 dB higher than normal because it has no ear gain.
I think you might have done this last stream.
I did. I just did this because Metal was here and I wanted to see if he'd get it.
That sounds like you're describing a pre-phaser. That's why I didn't get it. Like to me, those are the ones that are really veiled, like way
Yeah,
up
because
there.
they don't have that 10K
spike.
thing.
Yeah, like to me, the LCD2 actually has like 2 spikes. There's like a 6 and a 10, but they're not that much. They're not an HD 800. My God. So, but it kind of has them in the same-ish spots. I don't know. That's why I wasn't getting that. That sounds like you're an LCD2, like early LCD2 old pads. Then yeah, definitely agree. That's like, yeah.
Okay, I got one. So this is a headphone that when it came out got a lot of praise, and I'm pretty sure it was just because of the price. When I put this headphone on my head, the first thing I remarked was it is somehow extremely light, but also extremely uncomfortable. The sound I would describe as scratchy, dry, grainy. It was a very open headphone. It had a nice sense of evenness across the kind of front panorama of my image, but it didn't really have anything else notable. The sense of dynamics was very much so crushed sounding and kind of all over the place, not really having too much impact or slam, but having a lot of textural intensity to the point where it was a very overwhelming kind of listen. In general, I would say this headphone would be only liked by the kind of person who really wants to extract every single bit of detail from their music at the cost of literally everything else.
Is this the SR1?
No. The
Okay.
raw?
Yeah.
No, I actually don't find that headphone that bright. I just find it bass light.
True. Fair enough.
But now we're talking objectivist terms. You tricked me.
Very, very light, but
Very, very light,
uncomfortable.
but not comfortable.
I was going to say
Very open.
K812
No.
because it's
Yes.
got major trouble with.
No, I would say
holding
kind
down.
of the AKG kind of stage and imaging presentation is very much so like there's a palpable sense of front to back that is like engaging. Whereas with this headphone, it was not like that. It was more like everything is very close and in my face, but it is very evenly meted out. So I guess it would be a good performer for imaging rather than for staging.
Chat says SHP 9500.
No, it is
That's-
very expensive. No, when I
Yeah,
said
that's what
it
I was
was praise
thinking.
for price, I meant it's because it's expensive, people are lavishing it with praise and having better experiences than I think they would otherwise.
I'm befuddled.
Very light. And
Hold
very
on.
expensive.
I will admit I chose one that I didn't think would be immediately gettable. You're gonna need to think. Because
Would you describe it as harsh overall?
yes, definitely.
Sibilant?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I would say it is a crunchy, dry, scratchy, sandy,
Is it
bad
made by a
sounding-
German firm?
No.
Okay. Is the firm that makes it from Europe?
No.
Is it a Stax?
Okay.
No, it is not.
Is it a Tackett?
Oh no, it's not. I've never heard of it. No. You're getting closer though.
What continent is its manufacturer
You're on
from?
the right continent.
Am I in the right country?
For Stacks, yes.
Okay. Someone's saying the YH5000. I don't think it will be that, but it might be.
No, that's closer. I would say that's more of that has a bit of more warmth to it, at least per memory.
This is starting to
Okay.
sound like an Audio Technica, which somebody was
Well,
saying.
but the problem with Audio Technicas is there's 7 million Audio Technicas. So
There
how
are
the
a
hell
lot
can we
of them.
possibly guess what it is? Is it an Audio Technica? Is it one of their closed back flagship ones?
Or is it an open
Not a
back with
closed
the
back flagship.
82000X? Was what I
Wait,
was
is
thinking,
it?
but
Is it the ADX whatever?
or ADX 5000. It seems
That's
like
what it is.
that
It's the
that
ADX
does
5000.
okay. So somebody did get it.
Yes, but they were like when they
Makes
posted
sense
it, it
now.
was like the only headphone similar to it, so I didn't want to call it out as someone got it in chat because then
That makes sense to me now. Yeah, I think that's pretty similar to my experience with that thing. I'm like, okay, flagship, but where's the enjoyment factor? It's like-
right?
It's so strange.
Yeah, it is not a good headphone.
Yeah, Yamaha is an interesting guess. Yeah, I had forgot those existed.
Well, you didn't get to hear that one, did you?
What the Yamahas or
Yeah,
the
the new
ADX
Yamaha
5000?
flagship.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think I. Oh, the new one. Oh, okay. I thought he might have been talking about like a vintage Yamahas. I know those planers.
No, they came
possibly
out
weird.
with a new flagship 2 years ago or 2023. It was not good, but it was very interestingly designed.
I like the design.
I like the design a lot. It's probably my favorite design, actually. But
I really just wish that all of the Japanese high-end headphone manufacturers could put the brain cells together, because they have like collectively they have all the ingredients to make the best headphone on earth. It's just that every headphone only gets like 3 of the ingredients.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think that from like the European ones, because
basically never the ingredient they get, in my opinion.
Okay, so if you separated it into subsets of the sound, though, some of them have okay mids, some of them have okay bass. Infrequently, one of them has okay treble.
Infrequently. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I would say the best one I've heard is probably actually it's probably X9000.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard the X9000, but stacks are probably the best overall. It's just not necessarily what you want. So how about you, Jason?
Audio Technica is all over the place. Let's see if I can speed run this without breaking the rules. I was gonna go like the opposite direction as Griffin. Let's see. This headphone is really popular, very affordable. The fit is a bit weird, as is the chassis.
Don't Porta Pro us. Don't ever Porta Pro us.
I shouldn't have even talked about the chassis.
I knew before it was the chassis. I knew before you said that, and I was just like, "Don't fucking do it."
Is that a thing that gets done in this segment now?
Well, no, I can just smell a Porta Pro reference from a mile away.
All you have to do is say budget first, and then it's automatically almost always.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I should have done like an IEM.
I mean, you still can.
It's like a shot.
That was a very the short one.
That was very short. Yeah, but the stuff that I've heard is like not even new stuff, so
it's fine.
No, it doesn't need to be.
I'm old too.
Might be pretty easy. Let's see. Oh man, there are a lot that I could even do earbuds. Oh my god, that would be too weird. So there's too many strange ones
you want to think of is if we have both heard it. So actually, an older headphone might actually be more likely to have been heard by both of us than something newer.
Yeah.
And earbuds are neither of us care.
That's too.
I have heard at least one earbud.
I own at least one earbud. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm that great at this because it seems like I feel like anything I say is going to be really fast.
Try it
without saying responses.
That's the challenge. So, to be clear, I was very bad at this game at first, but over time, I have acclimated to get better at it.
I was naturally good at this game.
You were naturally good at this game. Yes, this is true.
We have the receipts.
All right. Well, okay. Let's see. So this is IEM that was very popular because they keep changing out which IEM is the popular one every minute. It had a fairly everyone called it neutral, but to me it was a slightly harsh. Bit of a bass boost, but the slam is kind of not as much there versus some other models. Very, very common manufacturer that people are familiar with.
It's Dusk.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's not, but this is gonna be annoying because you got the manufacturer correct. But I'm thinking further back.
Oh shit!
Original Blessing 2?
Almost somewhere in between there.
But it was like one of those weird ones, like the Space Travel or some shit.
Not that weird.
Aria?
Almost.
Was it the Chew?
No, it's a little bit older. Yeah,
there's so many IEMs.
I know, this is such a funny manufacturer.
Starfield?
Yeah, I think that Chad got it. It's Starfield finally. Nobody thinks about that one anymore because it's It's been replaced so many times over.
Yeah, Jesus.
Oh
We
my
could have gone for probably 2 more minutes just naming
That
ones
was
in
that
that
was
lineup and
wildly
still not
amusing
gotten
because I picked a $100 Moondrop.
Okay, so did I miss Moondrop releasing something they called the Moondrop Beautiful World?
What the hell is that?
Oh, yeah, so they came out with a Kato, but get this,
Yeah,
it's like $800.
the Ato, if you will.
The 8
So stupid. But yeah, that was it. I don't think it sold very well, but I could be wrong.
What even is the modern Starfield now? There was like an Aria 2 or something, but that wasn't the same thing, was it?
Well, they literally just came out with a new version of the Kato, which is
Oh,
the
it ends
Cadence.
with a Z. Yeah, somebody was mentioning that in chat. I see that on their site.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
I never even heard the Kato, but everyone was like, yeah, probably like that.
That's you didn't miss anything.
It's
Blaine?
like micro price point segments that are being hit at this point. Like that's what it feels like.
Sorry, I'm just
No,
trying
all
to,
just
to comprehend Moondrop's business model and product design strategy here.
so per our last not last, but a few topics back where we talk about which headphone company won the last 5 years. Moondrop would be a serious contender for the IEM space, if only because they kind of proved that you don't actually have to improve products to like sell a lot. You can just have effective marketing.
I mean, I
And
think that their products are fine.
No,
but
but
sometimes
they haven't improved. So like
the
if you
Oh,
go
yeah,
back
newness
to
no.
like the
factor
first
is like
iteration of like their like single DD that whatever was compliant to Crin's target, like the KXXS, I do not think like there was a big step in quality from that to where we are now, but they have grown substantially as a company since then.
Yes, with anime.
That's correct. They have harnessed the power of God and anime.
I kind of want to get your guys' take on like, has Moondrop kind of fallen off a bit because there's just so much competition now, and they were like really big. Like you just buy a Moondrop. Now it's like there's so many options at every price point because it kind of feels that
Well,
way to me coming back into this.
it's less that they fell off and more that the metric for how IEMs are judged has changed significantly in the
Yeah.
last 2 years, such that like they were revealed to not really be as good as the people thought they were, or not as good, but like not as uncontroversial or safe a choice
Mm,
as
mm.
we might have thought, because yeah, they're not as good as
So the
5128 things.
JM1. Oh yeah, the base thing with IEMs. So did that get solved so that
it
there
was
were no
really the
rotations?
mids that was weird.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
really? Okay.
yeah, it
So there
was
wasn't
really
Well,
the
it's
fact that
both.
like Crin's target had that kind of like early bump in the upper mids.
I remember it was being questioned whether 5128 was actually accurate with that and that base responsive IEMs. And
I mean,
that's still
ear
kind of messing
impedances
with
do
Fala's
vary.
research a little bit with the IEM target because it was not developed on, the 5128.
He did a new one, and it turns out that TLDR, the 5128 was fairly accurate, but also there's a wide spread of IEM preferences, particularly in like base. So
Oh, that makes sense.
some people like more, some people like less. And this seems to hold even when we account for like seal with the ear and stuff. People just be varying.
Yep.
That makes sense, especially for an IEM. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Now,
have always
importantly,
wondered if we.
oh, go ahead.
No, never mind.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like they vary in like we have data of them varying quite widely in the bass and treble, but I don't think there's much to support the idea of an alternative ear gain shape like Crin's original target, because both the Sound Guy's target and Harman's target, which are both equally well preferred, have that kind of DFE, HRTFE shape to their upper mid range. And in
Well,
Sean,
Chronicle's modern target does. His old target was stinky.
well, yeah, no, yeah, his modern target is good stuff. We like that.
We take
And
those.
and he got max level in life because he was able to stop reviewing.
Does that mean that you also have achieved max level in life?
I'm not implying this, but like you said, it's I make that joke. I swear on Twitter with Resolve like every other week. It's like quitting is the greatest thing you can do. but at the same time, it's paradoxical because like we need good reviewers. Well, until we get to the point where we don't need reviewers anymore.
Until we have eliminated the subjective scourge.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of which, we're supposed to be playing the Subjectivist challenge right now. Does anyone else have a headphone?
Nobody ever DMs me these things. It's all very sad.
Yeah, no one DM'd me either. Someone DM'd me about driving me from the Kanjam airport to the Kanjam hotel, but I cannot read it right now because I am on stream.
Fair enough.
Okay,
fair
well,
enough.
if none of us has another one, I guess we can just move
yeah.
on.
Thought it. Let's move on.
Okay, so now Fight Club. This is where we try to come up with an idea for something that'll be controversial among us. The issue is that our friends tend to agree with us on a lot of stuff. So it can be kind of hard. So yeah, for real. So I've just pulled out one that we were going to touch on last episode, but didn't, which is, what is the most underrated headphone in your opinion?
Wow, most underrated. Oh, I know one because pretty much nobody has heard it, and I actually own it. And actually, Tile reviewed it too. Is it sounds like we're playing the subjective game again.
Yeah, but we probably haven't heard this one.
Yeah, the Sennheiser HD 471G. There's a good one.
Oh, what the hell!
Holy shit! I remember that.
If you're following Tyler really closely, that's interesting. The only downside is it's the ergonomics are not that great. It's basically the HD 200 Pro chassis, but the HD 200
I hate
Pro,
that chassis.
yeah, it's not the greatest, but the sound is like the HD 200 Pro. I actually had both at the same time because I'm an idiot. The HD 200 Pro and 471G. I think I found them on like eBay or something, and the 200 Pro was definitely too warm. Like they had bumped up the bass too much for some reason. It doesn't make any sense for the Pro marketing. And the 471G was like tuned a lot better. That lineup's been going on forever. I remember hearing like the 428, 438, 448, that thing with the open backs and closed backs kind of alternating between the model numbers. Sennheiser's model numbers are just but there's an interesting
it could be worse. They could be Sony.
Oh my god, it could always be Sony. That's a good point. But I'm really impressed how that holds up to like the K371. Like to this day, the K371 still has a couple small hot spots for me. They're like pretty minor, but like so it definitely doesn't keep me from recommending it. But like it's impressed of the smoothness of like such a relatively cheap Sennheiser. It's just the comfort though is but that's an interesting one. That I don't know if it's controversial, but it's just not well known.
But you would say it's the most underrated?
The most underrated though. Well, I guess if Tyler reviewed it and he said it was good, then maybe it's not the most underrated.
I mean, nobody remembered that, so
yeah. So there haven't been many ratings at all. So I don't know. I'm putting that out there, but
yeah, I mean, it really also depends on what population we're talking about, because like most underrated among the three of us and most underrated among our friends and most underrated in the hobby writ large are very different questions. Like the answer can obviously never be the HD 600 or the HD 800, neither of which can really be said to be meaningfully underrated. But outside of that, it's all kind of who are you sampling thing. Because like if I was going to say among the people I talk to regularly, I actually think that probably one of the most underrated headphones, well, I guess the genre of headphones much anything, is the Lambda type stacks, the ones without the integrated leak, which were actually really competent. They have, the bump in the mids. They're
They've got the
little
weird tuning thing,
plasticky.
yeah.
But the thing is, I think that their tuning is actually less screwed than the majority of headphones. It's just that, like, and particularly given their vintage, they were
You put it that
quite
way.
good.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking
Like,
about, like, oh, that Lambda, that line has been around since how many decades? I had to go back to
like
Headwise
4 or
archived
5.
pages
4
to
or
see
5.
some of the old ones. If
Yeah.
anyone, I don't know if anyone's ever done that before. That was like the precursor to Headfi. Yeah.
May Chu Moy rest in peace.
Yeah, indeed. That's right.
But yeah, no, it's so I think that they were really overrated for a while with Headcase, and they still are overrated on Headcase because Headcase are just insane stacks jerkers. But everywhere else has basically forgotten they exist. And I think that that's probably too far in the other direction. It'd be like if people forgot that the LCD2 exists, right? Like the LCD2 is flawed, but it's still a quite powerful and robust headphone. It's a headphone that I personally don't prefer, but it's a headphone that I completely understand why someone would like. So it's like if that had just been completely forgotten, I would consider that to be really underrated. You know?
Got it.
So very contextual.
Yeah.
Yes, quite.
How much
So-
is the L700, whatever the current version, going for now anyway?
Just the headphone?
Yeah, I guess so.
Probably like $800, $900, right?
Okay. It's not that
Is it
unreasonable.
really that much? I thought it was like 1,700 or something like that.
Oh, really?
I don't.
I
I'm
thought it was.
misremembering.
But
Oh, I'm thinking of the L300
Oh,
or the
okay.
the L500. The L500 is like 800. The 700 is 1,600.
Oh.
Sheesh, that's a lot.
That does seem more
Yeah.
than I remember. Okay. Yeah, they do
Yeah,
have
and
removable cables now. As the
well, it's
jack.
also a problem
do.
of like they don't. Do they sell much overseas? Like here?
We did this exact bit last series, but I really think that if Stax had someone who promoted them more and more effectively with the youth, they would sell a lot more.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. I feel like they are just esoteric enough to appeal to like an untapped market, probably in the current.
Yeah, it's kind of like how wired headphones are like a cool
niche
thing
thing.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the Porta Pro is cool vintage. I think it was like for a while it was cringe vintage. Now it's like actually somewhat more.
Now it's swag.
For the record, I still consider it cringe.
I still consider you cringe.
I'm aware. Wait, what the hell? Why does Headamp have a wait list for the HE90?
What?
For the HE90?
Yeah,
The
the original Orpheus. Sold out. Notify me when available.
Okay, no. There's no way that is actually working.
It's on their page.
That is a mistake. That is not supposed to be there. Anyway, so as far as the most underrated headphone, it's a modern pick, and it's one that I think hasn't really gotten the attention it deserves, but I think it deserves a lot more attention and praise. This is what?
If this is an earphone, so help me.
Oh, like an in-ear? No, it's not.
Yeah. Okay.
No. It's the Focalijuries. I feel like stop. I feel like it's not the most comfortable headphone, and that's probably what my main gripe with it is that the headband itself is thin in terms of surface area, so that's not great, and it's a little bit too heavy. But I think what they've accomplished in terms of a tuning for a closed back headphone is completely reasonable. It sounds good to me, which is rare for any closed back. It's a slightly warm leaning response, but I would be very shocked to find anyone saying it sounds outright bad. It kind of reminds me of the Maxwell, but it's more portable and it's cuter. Like, I was shocked that it didn't get more attention when it released, and that despite, I think Andrew and Doug both reviewed it. I just feel like they reviewed it and then kind of the discourse forgot about it because, like, I think a lot of people assume because it's closed back, it must be bad. But I actually think it might be Focal's strongest current production headphone because it's less expensive than the discounted clear. It's less expensive than the open back. It's, well, less expensive than most of their headphones by that token, including the Batiste, but it sounds better than all of them, in my opinion. And it's something that, like, you could hand to like a normal person and they might actually have an opinion of the look that isn't, this looks stupid. Because most audiophile headphones do look stupid to a normal person.
That's a very uncontroversial opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I just heard that at Can Jam and I was so surprised with how reasonable it was and how little people talk about
We
it.
will answer this in New York, hopefully, when I also hear all of this.
Yeah, feel free to tell me I'm wrong.
I cannot do anything but cope, seethe, and mauled when something is not comfortable. Like, I can't hear through the pain.
Reasonable.
Like the old Focal closed packs in their clamp force. What was that? The Professional, I think.
Yeah, the
So I feel like before I was
Spirit Pro,
exposed
the
to
Spirit
Blaine,
Professional.
Oh,
I didn't realize, like, I gaslit myself basically into accepting very poor comfort because not only did I love the Focal Spirit Professional, like love, like bought it 3 times, love.
Wow.
But like,
That's
I just coped with that comfort and I knew I was coping. Like, I, in the moment, was like, oh my God, I literally can't wear this for more than 30 minutes at a time. But I just loved them so much that I coped. But
so much molding is occurring.
I would not do that in 2024.
Just
don't have to.
It's really something that we shouldn't compromise on. Like, I think that I very rarely am I like gamers rise up, but the one thing where I am like that with this industry is people really need to stop accepting bad comfort on something they're spending hundreds and hundreds or even thousands of dollars on. Like, it's absurd.
Definitely the more expensive it gets, the more unacceptable by far.
But I mean,
it's surprising when we get multi-$1,000 things that are this problem.
But if it's a $200 headphone, that's still like 10 times as much as a headphone. Like, if I go on Amazon, I can buy.
Right? Yeah.
So it should be good. Someone in chat says it's like gaming chairs.
Do we think the $200 headphone is on average more or less comfortable
than what?
Than a $20 headphone? I would assume on average it is still more comfortable. Like, an HD600 has problems, or an HD6XX has problems, but I would take it over most gamer headsets with like thin pleather pads.
Okay, so I think gamer headsets are really bad. Gamer headsets
that's like
really
what most
bad.
$20 headphones are. It's like either that or like no-name Chinese.
When I think about that, I think about just like on-ears with open cell foam pads, the ones that sound terrible. But those exist, and those are like, a call center headset is arguably more comfortable than a lot of $200 headphones. Not the HD600, I would agree. I think the HD600, although it's not, to me, that great, is solidly in the comfortable category. But I also think the HD600 kind of smokes a majority of all headphones in comfort, and also that's a bad thing because that means most headphones are really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to make generalizations there. I'd rather wear a KST75 than almost any over here, though, and that's not because it's comfortable. I don't like having something pressed against my ear, but a lot of over ears are really profoundly badly ergonomically designed.
I love the HD25. That's not
okay. Listen, whoever said that,
you are the only one. That is correct.
We've got someone. Yeah, near as I can tell, I am the only one. Yes, you are indeed the only one. You are literally the only person in human history to say this.
Oh, Andrew says HD 490 Pro is the most underrated headphone, and honestly, he might be right in terms of open back headphones that have come out recently.
I haven't heard it. If it sounds the way I expect it to sound based on how it measures and the ergonomics are as they've been promised to me, I think that it's probably one of the better headphones to have come out in the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's a shame because it doesn't really sound. It doesn't actually sound very good. But
well, yeah,
the
but you
other
think that
things
about
are
a lot of
very
things that
nice.
I like.
This is true. This is true. You would probably like it more than I would.
Someone says before they knew the good headphones existed, like the Philips SHP 2000.
I have to go look this up. I think I have an image in my head of what this is.
Why, when I Google this, do I get pictures of Vocaloid actor,
that's
I
the
guess,
one.
Hatsune Miku?
What? What was your search request other than the model?
I just searched SHP.
I think it's just reading off of his search history.
I'll do this on a fresh browser.
Okay, I know which headphone
I'm
this
seeing
is.
two completely different things that are called SHP 2000. Okay, no, I see it.
Is this headphone from
Wait,
like
what the fuck? Why is it
2003 or something?
suggesting me fucking Sony wireless limited edition Hatsune Miku things? This is a targeted ad. What the
what search are you using?
Literally, hold on.
Well, this must be the way Google is now, because I switched to DuckDuckGo a while ago.
This Philips headphone looks like it could be comfortable. It looks like kind of like the X2HR, but maybe with less clamp and less weight, which would be comfortable for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, this looks like it could be fine. Honestly, I would not. My immediate impression of that is not this looks terribly uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Now people in chat are impugning my honor.
HP 2000 has no padding?
I think it has a suspension strap, does it not? I'm trying to...
It does not appear to.
Oh, SHP
no, that's not a strap.
2500 is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I mean, if it's light, it might not be.
I mean, the Porta Pro doesn't either, really.
Yeah, but it's light, so it's like...
Yeah, I mean, this is also probably like 100 grams. Like, that's not a lot of plastic. Yeah. It's probably not for people who don't, it's for people of hair, not for people of no hair, but...
Sure. So we're kind of moved past this already, but I'm gonna say let's just move into spicy hour because we're kind of wrapping up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
also, I'm
so
hungry.
If anyone has
a long stream already.
Yeah.
You think this is long?
Please. And we're about at the 3-hour mark. I think we're kind of on track.
A record or something of like 4+ hours once.
Yeah, I think 4 hours 15 minutes is like our record.
I haven't seen them go that long yet. Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
Wait, can we explain why DF over front bias sound field again? There's someone here who disagrees. Where is the someone here who disagrees?
He's lying. That's what he's doing. He's one of them lying liars.
Front bias sound field? Why would anyone do that?
Well, the logic of it.
What a base dismissal.
Like single point I get, but like front bias?
So the logic is that it's closer to how speakers in a room are.
Oh, is that why? Okay.
Yeah, but the problem, of course, is that headphones are not the experience of hearing a sound source localized in front of you.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty much that simple.
Resolve says it's the Olive theory.
Also, someone in chat mentioned earlier, apparently Olive has lost his YouTube channel, which I'm very sorry to hear about, and I hope that, like,
oh shit,
he can have successfully appealed that. Apparently he was some scammer took it over and it's been banned. So yeah, no, like I really hope he's able to get that back.
There's been so many, like I've been seeing that this getting worse and worse, this problem. And it's like more and more supposedly driven by AI detecting things and just like, nope. And then YouTube usually doesn't give you a reason ever, even when you appeal. Like they may not reinstate. It's terrible.
They really, for as much money as they make and for as much money as it on the line, they really ought to have human review.
Yeah.
They probably used to, and now it's
spicy take. More IEMs should come with interchangeable nozzles and stuffing foams, and filters should be a big consideration. I think you should just have more of a diversity of ear tips. I think a lot of what you would accomplish there could be accomplished with just simple tip swapping.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can see the argument. Like, Etymotic used to have the thing where you could swap out the acoustic damper that you used.
Oh yeah.
And I like that to some degree. Like, I do feel that maybe that's archaic at this point. Like, nowadays you could just give people, I mean, like, really, people should probably just EQ those kinds of changes. Like, that doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily seem like something that's most conveniently solved that way.
So the nozzle one is one that I think is potentially interesting because it's not just changing like the level of something, it's changing like, the pattern of resonances of the ear. But I think you can change the same thing with just a longer ear tip. So yeah, I've seen a few, like Sonic Memory is a firm that came out with one that has one nozzle that is long and one that is short, and the length difference is significant. And it does change the treble character, but yeah, I don't know that I would rather that than just like different size tips. Rob Hawk.
S to Human Friendly says Studio Monitor headphones sell more than any other genre of headphones. Objectively incorrect. It's AirPods.
Yes. This genre of headphones sells the most. Like even if we were to actually, I wonder what would happen if we excluded AirPods. Would the wireless category still rule? I would assume it would.
I think nowadays,
because
it seems like it.
Well, think of how much of the money Bose makes off of that, right? And Bose is
Yeah.
larger than most of the IEM industry or most of the studio headphone industry.
True.
Read Rob's.
AI's increasing hunger for electrical energy will soon bestow an electricity debt on each newborn human, so much so that audio equipment will be considered decadent.
Cold take. Cold take, but very good.
Thank you for predicting the future. Now I can prepare.
And then resolve many disagreements about high-end headphones where one person says best thing ever, another says this sucks, is not down to headphone related transfer function. Is that how you use that term?
Yeah, headphone transfer function, no related.
Variation or preference, but just less scrutinization.
So basically he's saying skill issue.
Skill issue.
Yeah. I could have just typed skill issue.
I mean, I don't actually think that's a hot take. I do think that's probably true.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me.
I mean, like, Cameron failed to bait me into doing this earlier, but I'm just going to step in the bear trap myself, like the Amonis. Like, I don't think that that's an HPTF variation thing. I think that that's just a matter of some people are going in with a somewhat starstruck attitude and some people are going in with a cynical attitude, and the perceptions that they get reflect a very similar acoustic experience and just different biases.
God, bro. All headphones are bad. I just need a closer look to see that they're bad.
See, this is a take that I will merrily co-sign.
Yeah, that's a good take.
I mean, this is the thing, actually, really. I think this is why this industry is kind of disheartening sometimes, and I feel this with automotive content creators as well. Almost everything is so profoundly, horribly flawed. Like, you see this with people who are automotive reviewers. Occasionally, they'll get a vehicle that is just, like, perfect for what it is. And I don't want to say a Miata here, but, like, something in that thing where it's
the answer.
Sort of, it's opted out of so many of the other things it would fail at that it can just be good at one thing. And they're always so elated by it. And it's the same for us. It's like, most of the time when we try to say, oh, does this headphone work for most people? Well, no, it doesn't. Well, okay, well, how's the ergonomics? Well, it worked for me, all right, but I don't think it will work for this people. All right. How is the sound? Well, maybe it worked for me, But someone says Miata is the H600 of cars. That's a terrible take, but that's a separate issue.
The Golf GTI is the HD600 of cars.
The Golf GTI is canonically the HD600 of cars. Unfortunately, there is really no arguing with that. Anyway, sorry. What?
Never mind. No, go ahead.
Were you going to tag Craig?
No, I should have. No, I was going to tag Kyle, but they sold.
That's fair. The Golf GTI is like the M50. That's a harsh comment on the GTI. Yeah, so no, my overall take here is, and I guess this counts as my hot take, we just have kind of a disheartening industry because it's one of those industries where, because there's so much human interaction factor, and it's an area where marketing is very effective, there really is just a systematic failure to make good products, in the sense of products that actually make people happy. And I think it's very similar with automotive. And I think that's really disheartening to review.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rare that something comes along and checks all the boxes, or even checks more than half of the boxes. Yeah.
That's painfully true. I'm quite the
can't
petrol
disagree
head.
with that take.
I know.
I don't know if I can call it spicy either. At least for this.
That take is ice cold.
It's just like a sad, cold truth. Yeah.
Yeah. This is Cold Takes Olympics. Satanic take. Soundstand exists the moment you have left-right separation. So even further down the levels of hell take, you can still have soundstage with a mono recording.
No. Soundstand. It's different.
Excuse me, soundstand.
Definitely, yeah.
Cursed though it is, you can in fact have soundstage with a mono recording, and I hate it.
Yep.
The illusions of the perception of space are fucked.
Yep.
Foam
tips have a place in the hobby. Nope. Bad take.
I mean, ergonomically they're good. It's just you have to accept that they're disposable. If you accept that they're disposable,
gross.
Not if you throw them away.
Yeah,
I like the comfort, but yeah, that's the thing that they are definitely disposable.
Hot take. The ZMF house sound is lo-fi. Bloated bass bleeding into mids and dark treble to hide the fact that there are nasty treble peaks.
So when this gets clipped, I want it on the record that he was just reading chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also don't agree, actually. I would say the ZMF house sound is warm on the whole. Or maybe warm relative to the rest of the market. But I wouldn't say I wouldn't necessarily call the bass bloated on a lot of them.
I think
like
that
for example, things like the
it kind of bleeds a
didn't
bit.
have enough.
I don't know about bloated. That may be your definition of bloated. May vary.
Like bloated to me says like, I don't know, like DT990, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of.
Because it's like not just bloated mids, but the upper mids are kind of recessed.
Oh, Amaron home.
Ugh.
But like also like the Caldera is a planar, so it doesn't it can't really have that, especially because it has a proper ear gain rise. It's just like more normal in the treble than most planar headphones.
I don't know if I agree with it being the house sound as that, but in a way, you're definitely describing the Verite. Oh God, I'm so sorry. The Verite Open, I just can't deal with.
That is probably my least favorite of his headphones that I've heard.
It's strange because it's supposed to have the most.
Yeah.
It's supposed to have the most technical like driver, but the tuning of the treble is just whacked out, man. I mean, that's just.
No, I think his most technical headphone is probably actually the Elis.
The one I have, the Elis.
And then the Caldera.
That's one of those ones where I don't want to pronounce it because I know that Dan pronounces Eon incorrectly, I don't know what the correct pronunciation of the word that Zach used for that one is.
I think I saw a video of Zach pronouncing it later, and he said ALS. Then I realized my review was totally wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna say I stole my pronunciation from metal.
Oh, that's bad. I see. I am too. This is the HSP thing again. I want to know the actual correct pronunciation in the original language that like this comes from, and I think what I found was that it was an E sound.
I mean, it usually that letter combination would be. It's like Eon, right? Like Eon is the correct pronunciation of what most people call the Aeon, including the creator of the Eon.
Yeah, and then Zach said ALS, and I was like, oh great, okay. That's
Max Cardiff asks, please recommend me a high-end headphone with exceptionally low acoustic Z and unit variation that isn't the HD800. Okay, so the problem is there are a few
you didn't read all of it. You didn't read all of it.
He said, I don't want Blaine to be right because I lack the ability to cope and see. First of all, that's a skill issue. If you're in audio, you need to learn how to do that. It is part of this whole thing.
and molding.
But also, so the problem there is that there are a few headphones with low acoustic Z, and I would say, most acoustically open headphones, so headphones that have an open rear and an open front by virtue of the pads being permeable.
And there being integration of the front and the back volumes.
Yes.
Because Rados aren't that low acoustic. Well, I mean, they're somewhat low, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
A lot of them fit into that kind of low acoustic impedance category, but very little of them actually have good unit variation in my experience. And I would actually say that this is maybe my spicy take. We might be putting a little bit too much faith in Konstantin's measurements of the HD800S's unit variation.
Oh, that's not actually why I think that. It's because
That's not why you think what?
That it has low variation.
Why do you think it has low variation?
Because, and all right, this is maybe a stinky take, but I've seen enough of Sennheiser's actual measurements with their 45cc, and I have faith enough in their ability to keep it in spec that I really do believe that it has very low unit variation, something that has been reinforced by the fact that across every person I've ever seen have multiple HD800s or 800Ss, they've been very consistent, more so than any other headphone I've seen, and congruent with the level of variation that Sennheiser says that they accept.
So, I have had a different experience with the units I've seen. All of the units
Is one of them your unit, the one that has the paint on it?
Yes, but I'm not even talking about mine. I'm talking about I think Kyle has measured like 3, and they are all significantly different.
Interesting. Where?
Mostly in the shape of the mid-range, kind of the tilt of the mid-range.
So I can tell you why that is.
Is it the dust getting in the grill and increasing the
the grill gets
volume?
The grill gets gedunkened. When the grill gets all gedunkened, it's bad.
So, I will say, I have faith that Sennheiser's variation when they leave the factory is actually very low. And like we've literally known people who have gone to the factory and seen their tolerance window, and it is incredibly small relative to the rest of the space. But it does have that issue where that like if you're measuring only new units and then new and used units, you might find used units to be a little bit harder to predict.
I would agree with that. I mean, that's true of everything, though. But for the HD800, I still think it would be less because the pads are much less of an issue.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, the pads are basically just like a gasket.
Yep.
I actually changed the pads on my HD800 once, and as soon as I did that, I was like, "Why did I do that?"
It's a good question.
Like,
I don't know why.
Zero difference sound wise.
It can have an impact if they're really fucked.
They would have to be. Yeah, they were not ready to that degree.
No. Did we get to Andrew saying the majority of positive audio impressions, particularly in the high end, are down to people listening to the music, not the gear. They should do the opposite.
Yeah, we didn't get to that, but that's.
I don't even see that.
Yeah, I mean,
spicy. The majority of positive. Okay, I don't know about that.
yeah.
So his argument there is that people enjoy music. So like people are just gonna enjoy the experience, and that's a problem. Yes, important.
Which is a component of his argument. As you know, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
As a reviewer, that's a problem. This is why it's great not being a reviewer. Let's keep reinforcing this.
Metal just gets to have fun.
Yeah. Imagine enjoying music. I'm pretty sure I've tweeted exactly that at Resolve.
Rob Hawk says a fusion of Metal 572 and Resolve into a single entity would cause all other reviewers to melt in Metazolve's presence. Sorry.
What is happening?
Rob is
this is Rob Hawk. This is the pinnacle of our chat participation.
No, I'm familiar, but that's still impressive.
Watashi Kini Narimas says if listeners' preference bounds is to be made, it will limit approach infinity into a line. What? Is to be made, it will... No, I read that right. Can you say that again?
What asymptote are we talking about here?
Yeah, this is breaking my brain.
Why is Blaine my fault anyway? Because
I mean, I am actually your fault.
What? Oh, because I keep propping you up as the greatest person who's ever lived or something, and people are believing it. No,
you have unreasonably tooted my horn for way too long, and particularly when I was a complete moron years ago.
Well, you still do more than I did at that point. That's for sure.
Legitimately, I owe pretty much everything to you in that respect. I mean, some of the others as well, Kyle as well, but like you are a major reason that people listen to me.
I think Kyle influenced a lot of us. Yeah,
Metal is Blaine's dad.
Yeah, God.
I don't think we're that far apart in age.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
That's funny though. I definitely
Kyle is also very influential, both in the acceptance and love of Blaine, but also
Kyle and Tile.
Kyle and Tile.
Yeah.
Man, it's so fucked up to me that between the options of you, Kyle, Kryn to replace Tile, they picked Rafe Arnott. What the hell?
Yeah, I know.
I know that this is digging up a dead and buried horse to beat on.
That's a long time ago, and to be clear, nobody said a word to me, so I was definitely not in the running if there even was one.
You were in the running.
I mean, Tile thought you should be the person. That's my memory.
When did he say that?
I have heard it said by someone who said he talked to Tile. So it was revealed to me in a dream.
Okay, that makes sense.
No, but
I really did not think I was in the running. Nobody told me about this, but
I love Kyle. I do think you probably would have been a better fit for Inner Fidelity.
The meme of Kyle hates everything would be a little bit off for that site, yes, I guess.
I mean, Tyler was a fairly harsh reviewer. He just was willing to listen to anything that didn't have treble.
And he has created the greatest audio meme video of all time.
Yep. God, I miss him. Meanwhile, Hobby Talk in chat's just like, who's this Tile guy?
Yeah.
Damn, the young bloods.
You kids get off our lawn.
I've been in this hobby for too long. Why am I still on this? Why am I still agreeing to go on these streams? I should have grown out of this already. What's happening?
Oh, come on. It's just a chance to hang out with your good friends.
I'm just joking. I couldn't be more fascinated by the unsolved problems in research that's yet to be done. That's the real reason why.
Yeah, that's the brainworm. That's the brainworm you can't get away from as well.
You can try to quit, but once you start getting into like the tile level of interest in the research, that will never go away.
Yeah.
At this point, I have almost completely achieved like audio nirvana in terms of desire for new audio equipment.
Yeah.
Okay,
But-
you literally just got Revel 328s, so yes, you're allowed to say that.
Okay, listen, now everyone's gonna think I'm rich. I did not pay. I paid like LSR 705 money for those. That was insane.
Oh wow.
Crazy.
No, that was the most devious lick of my life, to use the parlance of the youth. But no, okay,
Ketchup
so yes,
is gonna be so happy you just said that.
But they are Sigma goated speakers though, right?
Yes,
For
they
real.
are
Oh,
indeed
God.
Sigma.
No cap.
They are. I actually, so I measured them in my room, and the spinorama prediction was basically exactly right.
In the band where it would be relevant anyway, yeah.
I mean, oh yeah, I mean, you mean, well, obviously can't predict modes, but I mean,
Yes.
my modes were actually, I mean, chalk a win up for asymmetrical rooms. My modes are very well distributed.
They are. Now buy more subs.
No.
Are you gonna have a 2.4 setup? Stereo with 4 subs?
No. So here, do you want to know what's actual brain rot? And I seriously thought about this. I thought about getting 3 for a 3.x system so that I could have a real center channel.
I mean, that's not as brain rot as it could be. But
well,
it's
it is
still
when you
kinda
consider it
brain
would go
rot.
in front of my fireplace, which is not a good policy.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Oh god.
Your room setup did end up looking very nice, though. I think you made out like a
Thank
bandit.
you. Oh yeah, no, that was sorry. This has just become me flexing again. That wasn't the intent. My point here was that no, but my point here was that for even before that, like that was the first audio thing that I've been like, holy shit, I have to do it. And I had to do it because that discount was absolute insanity. But
Yeah.
outside of that, I have felt almost no compulsion to buy an audio product to own and listen to it for a very long time. Now I have the much more perverse desire to buy audio products to disassemble them to understand how their acoustics work, or to test like listening test theories or whatever, which
Yes,
is an
this is
even
brain
worse
worms.
worm. Yeah, because that one you can't actually sate. You answer one question, then there's another one.
Yeah, the only way you can answer the questions and put them to rest is by making something that doesn't have the issues. Wink, wink.
Yeah. Well, you know, if I'm
Will the wolf
endowed
howl
with
again?
approximately, oh, shut the fuck up. Sorry, that was discourteous. God damn it.
Those who know will know.
Yes. So no, what I was saying was, if I'm endowed with the talent and money to do that, I'll get on that. But I don't think that I have the talent to make something that's flawless.
Flawless, no, but the bar isn't exactly high.
Oh, the bar is in hell. I would really love to see something raise the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just
the
flogging
discussion on our last podcast.
Yeah, this is just flogging the same. I wish there was something that replaced the HD 600 horse that we've been flogging for like the last forever.
And Wyatt's mad phone.
Yeah. Time will tell, but probably no. Bwong says people attribute to headphone quality when what they listen to is extremely poorly mixed. I don't think that that's necessarily correlated. I listen to a lot of terribly mixed stuff, and I can still hear the quality of audio systems on it. But that's because mixing is kind of separate from like.
I feel like
the FR is fucked.
The higher end stuff with whatever the hell resolution is makes it more obvious when something is badly mastered and like there's not much more to extract out of it. That's kind of how I'd felt about listening to things I would actually listen to on like 009 stacks or something. And I was like, oh, well, there's not much more here. Like, that's another reason why I don't really care about like actually owning this top shelf Summit Fi stuff. It's like only certain songs maybe benefit from it so much. Like, it's good enough is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I will never collab with Capra Audio because I don't support furries.
Jesus Christ.
This is now clipped.
They named themselves Goat Audio.
Yeah, because they're the
Which,
goat.
admittedly, yes,
Goat.
I get it. It's a cute pun, but still furry shit. Anyway, no.
Jesus Christ.
Michael Bussing says, putting a CD or vinyl on contributes to better sound quality than streaming because of the ritual element and the lack of any screen to distract you.
I don't think that's spicy.
That's ice cold.
Yeah, I think that's a cold take. I think that I get why people want
the
those.
point of vinyl, it feels like.
Hell yeah.
It's the experience, which is great. And then the huge album art that you can physically hold in your hand. I need a turntable. Thank you for reminding me this. Not for audiophile reasons at all, though.
No, just because your brain wants to collect and hold things.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
The biggest problem with the discourse is still the inability for the science people to communicate complex ideas to the masses, who then erroneously espouse and repeat simple yet flawed narratives.
Harmon target adherence perfectly is the only correct frequency response.
I don't know that that's the biggest problem.
Sean has been very effective in conveying his ideas. The problem is that most people don't actually read the things where he conveys those ideas very effectively.
Yes. The biggest problem is that reviewers poorly summarize actual science.
I don't even think that's the biggest problem. Seriously, because there's plenty of reviewers who've actually been...
It's not. I'm just playing to what he said.
If scientific things cannot explain things to the masses, means they don't understand it. If you can't ELI 5, then you don't really understand it. Okay, yes, but I can ELI 5 every individual concept. But it takes a really long time to ELI 5 every single one. Like, I can explain acoustic impedance to a 5-year-old, but it would be over a number of sittings, much like explaining the concepts of death or war to them.
I think it's unrealistic to expect a comprehensive understanding from a YouTube video. And when I say YouTube video, I don't mean like a 30-minute deep dive into everything about a certain quality. I mean, the people who are complaining about like wanting an ELI 5, like if they actually wanted an explanation, they would just go read the paper. Like they would just go actually read about this.
Okay, so I do want to emphasize, Sean has published much more like easily accessible stuff as articles, which summarize his work.
He has that whole article in that journal that is basically a nice summarization of his work. It's still long, and that's why people still don't read it. But it is a lot more accessible, yeah.
I mean, he works so hard on TLDRs of his things. Capra, what do you mean you don't have time to read the papers? Are you too busy making head straps and fursuits? Slander will continue until you
read the papers. Then, like, make
an
time.
audiobook version of the papers. Yeah, there we go. That's great.
I would love a read by Sean Olive version.
I would ironically listen to that too. That's great.
I would back his Patreon.
I think now we actually have to think about who has the best voice in audio and who we would actually want this stuff, like who we would want reading this stuff to us.
I have been told I have a face for radio.
That would be quite a compliment to Sean for you to do the audiobook. It would make sense, I think.
I honestly actually feel like if I were to buy an audiobook about like a nerdy audio topic, I would probably want Gutenberg to read it.
Interesting. Just because you want Gutenberg to have been forced to read it?
No, not at all. I just think his because when it comes to the subject matter, obviously a lot of it's very dry. So
True.
I feel like his voice is less dry than a lot of the people in audio. Yeah, no, I stand by that. Yeah.
Should have
Like,
taken those voice acting classes after all.
like you don't want me to do it because everybody will fall asleep in the first minute, and so it won't work.
We're just ignoring Andrew as he tries to clarify his comments.
What is this? What is this? Okay, that shouldn't be. I guess it shouldn't be called a meme, but like soundstage doesn't exist thing, because he keeps going on about. He has been going on about this. Is it for some definition of exists that is too advanced for my non
Well, I mean, so
non
this is
philosophy
originally
brain to understand?
this is originally a Blaine meme, but let's. So when we say soundstage doesn't exist, there's two separate arguments which we're smuggling under the guise of one argument. One of them is the obvious one, which is that headphone soundstage is not at all like the sound of an object in a space, right? So a speaker can convince you that there is a sound source, like a bass guitar. Or actually, here's an example. I heard a knock on my speakers, and even cheap speakers can do this because oftentimes we're not that temporally sensitive. If there's like a knock on speakers, it can fool you into thinking someone has knocked on a door, right? If the speaker is by it. This will never happen for headphones, right? The only exception there is binaural audio, and even then, the effectiveness is mixed. So in that sense, headphone soundstage is head stage. It isn't like speaker soundstage where there is an actual audible illusion of a physical presence of something. So there's that argument, which is not really an argument so much as a truism, right?
Yeah, definitely.
The other argument that is sort of being concentrically nested into there is that because the things that give us that illusion of stage, of the head stage, are interpersonally variable because of things like HRTF, because et cetera, that there isn't any measurable aspect of soundstage either, or something similar to that. Like, and that's probably a straw man. But basically the claim that you can't just say this headphone has soundstage because your experience doesn't necessarily log someone else's. A good example here would actually be Griffin was saying that the AKG soundstage to your perception, Griffin, is sort of very front to back, right?
There is more of a front to back element.
For me, it
than
is the
ADX
exact
by far.
inverse. There is no center. Everything sounds hard panned to me on like a K701. It's an uncanny effect, and it's something that I don't know what FR cues produce that effect in my brain, but I do perceive it.
Yeah, I think that's how I get it. It's like the imaging on those was never really that specific. Everything was just kind of wide. Yeah, I think that was my experience as well. But that doesn't negate the fact that different people are going to have a different experience with it. And okay,
So
that's the
basically,
argument, and yeah, I can see that.
what this ultimately basically amounts to is we're saying a few things that are very uncontentious, but we've wrapped them in the most contentious possible language.
Yeah,
because it's sexy.
Engagement.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, also it's more fun to fight. Like if you just say things and everyone agrees, then everyone just fucking tunes us out. Like if we just had everything was an agreement fest, and we noticed this, right? And I mean, it's very visible in the community. People do want to see conflict. Unfortunately.
That's all we talk about is, oh my god, did you see that thing that happened on the forum of
exactly
or what? Those are like the biggest moments in audio.
I count myself very lucky to be in a couple of servers that are like, oh my god, did you see that Floyd Tool just posted on ASR? And it's not like about a fight. They're just really excited because Floyd Tool posted something.
Yeah.
But there are very few communities that are like that.
Yeah.
And also those people are giga nerds. I mean, just like those are the people who are really so deep in the sauce. Mr. Smitho says smuggle science into the fake beef so people remember the science concepts. Congratulations, you have understood my entire persona. I am
You
laid
got the
bare
fake
in this one sentence.
Is that now called blaming?
You guys seen any more spicy takes? I think it might be right around time for us to start calling it.
Someone did say that sound quality doesn't matter when you go down the rabbit hole and spend more time watching reviewers and reading reviews than you do actually listening to music. I mean, that's... Yeah, I guess that's true.
I want to propose an achievement, like a Steam/Xbox achievement for, like, and we know someone has done this, right? Like, probably not someone here, I hope, but someone has got a headphone, gone home, listened to it, and then in the first 24 hours of having it, spent more time listening to reviews of the headphone they just bought than they spent listening to the headphone with music. We know someone has done this.
Many people have done this.
I'm trying to think. I feel like I might have done that early.
Oh my god.
But no, because the thing is, there are only so few reviews of a product that, like, you'll see all of them before you buy the headphone, basically.
Chat, having that achievement is not a good thing.
I have seen an unnecessary number of times where, like, someone is asking for advice, like, in a Discord, but they have had the thing that they're, like, asking people to compare against for, like,
Hey, is this
a week.
good?
Yeah, because
I've been listening to it for, like, 2 weeks.
I know. I mean,
I just want to know, am I insane?
Yeah, it's a human thing, though, to want to validate purchases. Like, I get it, like,
Of course.
psychologically, but it
Oh,
is
I have a hot take. I have a scorching hot take.
Uh-oh.
And this isn't going to really apply to a lot of the people who aren't on Discord, but people on Discord should stop being so butt frustrated when people don't pay attention to their purchase recommendations. Like, people need to get way less mad about not being the fundamental factor in someone's purchase decision.
Are you just subtweeting Mac's settings? Because I don't think that he talks on Discord for those recommendations anymore.
No, I'm talking about, like, everyone in any large public server who gets mad when someone asks a bunch of questions and then doesn't buy the thing they were recommended.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this complaint a million times, and it always... You can't expect them to do that. Like, that's the thing.
But then you immediately realize that it's like, well, yeah, this is just what happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, because the thing is, what people buy based on is not even mostly sound quality. Like, that's the thing. That's one of the reasons that I emphasize this so much. And to be clear, that's valid. Like, the HD800 for me was a lot sound quality, but it was also a lot ergonomics. And yeah, some of it was, okay, fine, now I have the big P headphone that everyone will stop memeing about.
I thought you were going to say community acceptance first.
Yeah, no, I mean, I regret to admit it, but it's true.
I know.
So no, I mean, I think that people just...
Let's see, more spice. That's why I like Pixel Buds A series. Nobody knows what that is or cares or... That's the odd one out for me. That should have been my underrated headphone pick.
None of us could have spoken to it.
Not really. What were you gonna say?
Sorry. So the guy who has that achievement says that he got a secondhand HD800S and was trying to make sense of what he was hearing. I think that you should have done that experientially rather than by turning to someone else's opinions. I think you need more self-confidence and to believe in yourself.
Now it's just turning into Blaine's DMs with me.
I mean, yeah. I mean, our DMs are an interesting mix of wholesome and not.
Correct.
I'm very glad that we don't have HR.
Yeah, no. Yes, progress would be halted if we had HR.
Okay, someone in chat says, I like Bayer headphones. Maybe I believed in myself too much. No, listen, dude. I know it's a
The
meme,
opposite.
but if all right, you actually need to remove what Resolve just posted.
I'm doing it.
But no, here's the thing. If you enjoy a headphone, and I mean this, if you enjoy a headphone, that's good. And if like, even for the people, like I know I was, and Andrew likes to sort of be on like, oh, well, you know, what about, you said the Imanis is terrible. Yeah, my experience with the Imanis was terrible, right? But if you're enjoying it, if you, particularly once the new toy factor has worn off and you're just using this day in and day out, you're having a good time. That's all that truly matters. What are you people doing in chat?
Oh god. Yeah, you can only get so angry about like how do you get, you can't logically be angry at somebody for having found a thing and really enjoying the hell out of it. Like what's going on?
I mean, you can, but we're not going to get into the cases where you could,
Oh.
because they usually involve crimes.
Okay.
All right. Are there any more spicy takes, or should we wrap it up? Because Andrew's getting a little unruly now.
Andrew wants to know what "oh whoa" means, and I'd like you to explain that to him.
Not going to happen. So I'm going to close the stream before we get to that point. But honestly, I actually think it is time to wrap up. We're right at the edge of where the podcasting thing stops being able to wrap
I've
everything
been
up.
hungry.
So yeah, I'm hungry too. Yeah. So with that, that's going to be it for us today. Thanks so much for everyone for stopping by. Thanks especially to Metal571 for joining Blaine and I on the noise floor. This again has all been brought to you by Headphones.com, your premier location for buying and learning about headphones. If you want to learn
other audio equipment.
And other audio equipment like speakers, which is an under frequented part of our site, I will say. We actually have some good stuff on there. You guys should check it out. But additionally, we also have a forum as well as a Discord channel. So if you like to chat with other audio enthusiasts about what makes the gears turn up in here, then yeah, feel free to go ahead and check out those spaces and bother us about stuff. Especially Blaine. He loves to be bothered with all sorts of questions. And with that, I think that's just about it, right, guys?
Yeah. Thank you to everyone for being here.
Thanks, guys.
And thank you particularly to Jason, because I always love talking to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. All right.
Later, guys.